No.
Very
Have a seat. It is dark.
back in session Wednesday. Bobby, you got some stuff for us right off the bat, or
Yes,
you
sir.
wanted to wait for Wade?
I was actually on this discussion, I was
Okay.
waiting for Carl, he should be walking up any second.
Okay.
Yeah,
One of the commissioners, Mr. Tim, reached out earlier this week and was inquiring about where we're at on infrastructure planning for anything that may happen at Vito. So I wanted to just give a brief overview of where we're at, because it is very overwhelming, and one could assume that if people aren't seriously working on it, that the balls would certainly be dropped. But so Carl, got with him early on, it's too much for any one person to take on, and we can't afford to pay engineers millions of dollars to sit and dream up ways we can provide infrastructure. So Carl, his background lends itself to water, wastewater. His former employment with KDHE is pretty significant. So he knows what he's talking about. He knows the lingo, and he understands what infrastructure is in its totality and how it interfaces from public infrastructure to private infrastructure and so on. So we started, he took off down that path, handling the water and wastewater, and I'm handling the electrical, the land, and the political. And we have brought Saban along with us to some degree, but being careful not to ask him to do work which he would charge for. So we're trying to do as much grunt work as we can until we get to the point that our expertise no longer is sufficient. There are other people involved too, from some of these different industries, who are giving input, and then some of the actual entities like Rural Water 3, Wholesale 12, Evergy, Four Rivers, Atmos, they've all also been contributing to provide certain data and certain planning. But in a nutshell, and our only real challenge is going to be water. Kansas is water poor already, and has this weird way of only pulling out of top water and not really investing in aquifer. And everybody seems to believe that we don't have adequate aquifers, but the biggest challenge is going to be the water, providing water up there. We're probably going to have to, I'll just let Carl take straight over, but just to give a brief summary on where you're at with water.
With the water, I've met with Danny Hawkins with City of Burlington and Public Wholesale 12 to see what their capabilities are for water. And I've also contacted Kansas Water Office to see what the water rights contract is that Public Wholesale 12 has and what City of Burlington has as far as water rights, and what's available and what we'll need to apply for, and to look to see what capabilities will we need to develop in order to supply water to the industry up at Vito. Now, I've been primarily working with Public Wholesale 12 because they have a 10-inch water main that comes from the water plant off of Melbourne down 75 Highway right to the right-of-way where we're going to develop the industry. What we'll need to do is use Saban to evaluate both of the water plants to see what upgrades they would need as far as producing more water or maximizing the water they can produce through the upgrades of pumps. So I've been in contact with both. Both are really supportive of the project, especially Public Wholesale 12. And so right now we're just waiting on the industry to bring back numbers on the amount of water that they may need for processed water at the facilities.
Is there a way to recapture some of to like have a wastewater plant to make it from waste to potable after the use up there on site to help with some?
Yes, there would be. There's a lot of different scenarios to work out as far as with the industry. They're going to have an I think it's called ultra pure water purification system, in which they use for the processed water. And they'll clean the water up, even if it's public supply water or raw water, to what they need, and they will recycle that up to 3 to 5 times. And it depends on what that water is what they do is change the chemistry of the water to where it's perfect for what they want to do. Now, it's a large demand on the water, but they'll recycle it, but we don't know how often they will need fresh water or how much fresh water they will need in order to meet their needs. Now, that water that they would dictate, it'll be subject to KDHE permitting, and as part of their discharge. And we would probably, with the volume of water they're talking about, and visiting with Sabin, Cook Flat, and Strobel, we would probably put in a mechanical plant to be able to handle the volume of water that they would be discharging from that, because we're talking somewhere between 1 million and 3 million gallons of water, maybe as high as 5, depending on how much industry we get.
Per day?
Per day. But see, that could vary. That's just what they're telling us on the periphery. And as far as the volume of water, that's up to the Kansas Water Office. We know what the water rights are for the Neosho River Basin and what's in the Merzine River Basin as far as the water contract with Public Wholesale 12 and a water right allocation. So there will have to be paperwork done in the future to ask for more water rights or more water from the Kansas Water Office, and they control that. We would just have to make application. Melbourne does have reserve capacity built into it, so it's a matter of how much they would give us.
Right.
And we know with Redmond that there's none in Redmond as far as reserve capacity, but both Council Grove and Marion have reserve capacity, and it would dictate on how the water would be redistributed.
So they could maybe send it down from up above?
Possibly.
Upstream.
Emphasize possibly, yeah. But right now, we're currently working with Public Wholesale 12 with Melbourne as being our primary and then Burlington being the secondary.
I was kind of concerned that 12 would be able to produce, had enough, they're going to have to do a substantial expansion to produce more probably?
Yes.
That's what I was afraid of.
Right.
There's going to
They
have
would.
to be a big...
And seeing this goes back to the eligibility of the money and the infrastructure.
Right,
Water would be an
right.
infrastructure. So we would be looking at the the money through the grant or the guaranteed student loans. There's 2 pots of money within the CHIPS. Now, they haven't issued the rules on it yet.
Yeah.
But that's where we would be looking for on that.
And there's, in that, we would take, at some point, a suggestion to the commissioners based on what's economically viable versus, if it works out, if it's fiscally viable, it may be a situation where Melbourne is makes these major upgrades, or it may even end up being that City of Burlington takes up more of a role in pushing water towards Rural Water 3, and taking pressure off of Rural Water 3 to be able to serve extra.
Because one of the things, the ideas we'd shoot when we've talking with Sabin as far as the engineering of this, and I've talked with the City of Burlington and Public Wholesale 12 is changing how we push water and use water, and it would be what we call water plan for this area. Because there's a chance Burlington, due to how their connections to the districts to the north, of possibly pushing water north to where it would alleviate some of Public Wholesale 12's. But this would have to be done through an engineering study and see how it would work. I mean, that's one of the easy, viable options that we have in front of us. And in talking with Sabin, we're looking at kind of a short, medium, and long-term water plan, because if we continue to develop up a beat and the industry follows, there will need to be, something that's, down the road, another watershed bill.
Yeah.
I'd always understood that Burlington's plant, when it can produce 3, 4, 5 times more than what they're currently using. But that may have changed over the last few years too.
Well, the thing to remember, they sized the plant for their current use and what their maximum capacity, and that's pump upgrades is what it
I think that's all
is.
they'll permit for you too.
Yeah.
Is what your current use is. I know when I dealt with the Kansas Water Resources, it took me 18 months to even get a permit to drill a well, because, we was using quite a bit of water.
There's a process to all of this. And that's all I can say. It's to the Kansas Water Office. I feel better dealing with Kansas Water Office than I do some of the other state agencies, because they responded when I wrote them an email. They responded within 24 hours of my email, my request on the information I wanted for John Redmond and Lake Melbourne. So
There's just not enough water underground, I don't believe.
no, there's no available large-scale aquifers in our area or where we can more justifiable groundwater. So we're looking at surface water primarily. And one of the questions we have for the industry is whether they would, in their ultra purification system, whether they want raw water versus raw water meaning non-palatable, just straight lake water,
Right.
versus
Which would be cheaper
public,
to produce.
yes, versus public water, because that would dictate the size of the water plant and their water needs, because that would, you're talking 3 or 4 fold more water if they use nothing but public water supply water.
Well, you know, and if you're gonna, you know, for what to come up in that area, you know, they might not need, they just might need, you know, raw water, and
Right.
but another industry might need drinking water. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean,
So part of this is a waning game. Rick Walker is working underneath Saban as far as the public the water supply part of this. So we're waiting for the information. I forward as much information about water use that we have now, and the water. The Public Wholesale District 12 is on what they call water contract. Now, I don't know the subtle difference between a water contract and a water right allocation, because City of Burlington operates on water right allocation. And so there's a subtlety difference in there between the two. And so we know what the maximum is on both sides of it, so we know what there's available now as far as water usage. The engineers have that. We just need the information from the industry, and then we can make the calculations to see what we need to do for the future. We've looked at a few sites as far as possible, just on a map, throwing down on a map, just to look at possible watershed sites if we need that. Because there may be such thing as if you can build an adequate watershed dam just for water usage for the industry, in which they pay for it, whoever pays for it, close by, then that can change our formula towards public water.
right.
But so far, everybody's been very willing to work and make sure that this all works for Coffee County and all the surrounding counties with us as far as water production.
So there's still a potential to build a watershed dam and collect the water, even though it'll stop water from getting into the Neosho River Basin?
Well, Kansas Water Resource Office has a formula that they put all this into.
Because they pretty much shut the watershed new ones.
Well, see,
It's not being
this also
built.
goes back to Jesse's point about the watershed, as far as the credit from the wastewater discharge. See, for anything that we put back into the water basin up there, then we would get credit.
Yeah.
And how that credit works, I don't know. There's a formula in which they would use, and that's why they have engineers to do that. They would review our work to see what they would need. But we would get credit for anything that we put back into the water basin up there. And it's such a thing that, you know, maybe we can capture some of that down in water, the discharge from the wastewater treatment plant into a watershed. That's a possibility too. It goes back to working it out with the engineers in the Kansas Water Office.
Maybe have your own containment out of the lagoon system into a watershed type system to eventually bring it back in.
Yeah. But we've thrown some dots on the paper, things it's a possibility. They're not, everything's a possibility at this moment. And anytime I have an idea, I ship it to the engineers, because I want as many ideas on the table as possible so we can pick the best solution.
It's like the ethanol plant, I can't quote gallons, but coming out of the Garnett, they, a huge percentage of the water they use is gray water.
Right.
So you're gonna be talking about something very similar
Yes.
to what they do over there, in which that water doesn't cost the plant anything.
Right. But this ultra purification system, what it does is they'll clean that water up 3 to 5 times, depending on what their chemists say. And then what they'll do is then at that point, then they discharge it to the wastewater treatment, which they would have on site, that would then come to us. That's how I understand it at this moment.
You'd think it'd only be in the benefit of everybody to try to capture the discharge out of the wastewater.
Yeah.
To eventually maybe loop it back into something else later on down the road.
You
And
bet.
if not, open it up, send it downstream.
Right. And we get credit for that as far as the formula in which the Kansas Water Office would use.
Make our own little aquifer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and they manage, the thing to remember is they manage for everything that's on that basin, clear to the state lines. And so, I don't know what all the agreements are, plus you have to work with the Corps of Engineers on this too, as long as we got the federal lakes involved.
Right. Sounds like you got a lot of work to do.
A lot of homework.
Sounds like you've done a lot already.
Yeah, Yeah, the thing of it is we know that when we get ready to move, we gotta have a lot of information ready to
Right.
go, so we can try to pick the best solution. I wanna emphasize the point, we're throwing answers out on the table, kinda like a multiple choice test, and then we'll pick the best solution for it. But so far, everybody's been good to work with.
This would be more for Bobby. Electricity, how's that in the planning part?
So I caught some vibes the other day from another commissioner from another county about this, Blackberry project. And just to get that off the table, we will not be proposing to serve any, connect to, that Blackberry transmission line. And that's years down the road anyway. So our current, path is, Evergy is gonna do backflips to do whatever they can to serve this, we know that, so we've worked from the back end forward, we've talked with their engineers first, instead of involving their top end, their bureaucrats, because we just needed to know the data, right now, not the,
Red tape.
no red tape. So, their engineers have come up with 2 or 3 different solutions. One of them is even coming straight from Wolf Creek, a line straight from Wolf Creek, if necessary. And, the way the Kansas law works, if for some reason Evergy drops the ball or is unable to communicate that energy to that site, Fort Rivers has full rights to service that, and they have more assets in the area, ironically, than Evergy does at that particular site.
Thank you for the info.
Yes, sir.
I've been up to meet with Public Wholesale District 12 twice, to keep them in the loop, because they have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of, rumors going around, and trying to assure them that we're gonna work with them openly.
Good group, good group.
Yes, they've asked really good questions.
And I think they'll do anything to help, just as long as there's, beneficial to them, and they can do, they have the
We're in the
water.
business to sell water.
Exactly, exactly.
So,
They might have to upgrade their system or, or something to make it work, if they can get the rights.
yeah. Yeah, we gotta apply to the Kansas Water Office.
Sounds like the homework's being done.
Yes, it is.
And, if the commissioners have time later on this afternoon, after you get done with your what you've got in front of you now, we would like to tell you, if we can get Wade in here, talk about a couple of other things that are taking place that, the commissioners will need to say yes or no to and take action on, but, well, I guess we'll just wing it and wait to hear from you guys.
I'll let you know when or Angie or Andrea will let you know when we're getting close to being done.
Yes, sir.
Go from there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all you got.
I
Jeff,
asked-
you got anything good? Oh, what?
Yeah, I asked him to stay back. We, if you don't mind, I'll kick it off.
No, go ahead.
We made some assumptions there Monday about, Road and Bridge having the, nuke machine to Proctor for soils.
Mm-hmm.
And, he said they let the license drop some time ago. So we no longer own one of those, so did a couple of assumptions, and I came in early to get a copy of the contract we had for the church to see about whether we were just providing the dirt, period, or loading it as well. So Jeff had a couple concerns on that.
No, I just need guidance on that. If you want me to load it, we'll load it. Just let me know.
What's the contract say?
Well, again, I didn't get a hold of it yet.
I believe it said we would supply the dirt for the fill-in for replenishing the hole,
Yeah,
but I don't know if there's anything.
well, that's why I wanted to see if we were, because one of us made the statement that we could load it for him, but
Well, that's why I didn't know.
And his
what they had out
concern
there for
was-
equipment.
I'll go grab that.
Jeff's concern when he called me yesterday was, what if they accidentally hit the side of the truck they're loading it or something like that, so it's kind of.
Little liability, a little bit.
Yeah.
And if their contract was for them to load it and we load it, then seems like that would be.
I don't think there was anything
in their advantage.
specified of who was loading what.
I think it just said we were gonna
I
provide
don't,
it.
I don't recall.
So, and that's why
I
I'd
can't-
come in early to get a copy, and Andrea was busy elsewhere.
We got a couple numbers this morning I shared with Tom, Blackstone, who done they done the landfill, they done the, asbestos test over there, they've got a new gauge, $50 a day, $65 an hour for the operator. Did like a proctor done, like a soil sample done on that ahead of time. Wouldn't take very long, get a sample of the lab, about $550 of what we're gonna put back in there.
Oh.
So they know what that soil is made up of to meet the 95% compaction. Otherwise, it's just a little
Is
bit.
it-
And I believe in the spec, I think we did spec 95, that's, till I read it again.
But they'll need a little bit of a proctor on that soil. So if you want, we can get some to the lab, have those numbers ready to go. So I think you're thinking a couple of weeks, and they might be filling back in.
As that soil's laid back in there, we don't have any instruments that'll test the
Density,
how was that stated in the contract? Surely you had a statement in there where it had to be put back in,
yeah, that's
at
what.
least 3,500.
That's what Andrew went to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he answered that question.
Yeah. That's how it was
I'm pretty sure it was 95% compaction, but I made the assumption for myself that he still had a nuke machine on stat, or on hand,
No,
so.
and that's just fine, but if Blackstone acted like they had a day or two notice, they could, I mean, if you guys are good with that, we can still get that set up, so it's done.
We'll have to have it to hold them
Accountable.
accountable to the contract, so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'll read it over one more time on those couple of things, but.
I'm fine, I'd get the soil tested that we're gonna have available to come back in here, make sure would be able to meet that.
Yeah, okay,
Is it orange?
yes,
It'll probably meet it.
it is. It is. It's pretty much what we've been using at the bottom of the landfill, so it should be.
You lay that in 6-inch lifts, so it's you're not gonna do that all in one day.
No, that's right, I'm assuming.
You're gonna be
I don't know
several
if
days laying that in there if you,
I'm assuming it's at least 1 foot lifts, and it's, if it doesn't get any moisture, it's gonna take quite a bit of water to meet your compaction, just,
Yeah,
it's dust,
we
pretty
end
much
up,
is what we got.
end up putting concrete or blacktop, for the parking lot. Sure, don't want any sedimentation there.
Right, which I'm guessing that, I don't know how long that's gonna be, it'll set a while, won't it, I'm assuming?
You probably should.
probably not too long.
Probably not too long.
I bet we can't, I bet we can't.
This
We're gonna have
project,
parking.
this parking lot will all be taken care of in
Right, I didn't know
11
what
or
kind
12
of time
months from
frame,
now.
yeah.
If it goes 95, if it goes compact 95%, person will
That's
be able to build
that's a
on it.
norm, but
Yeah.
I sent waiver on my contracts, and I think he just kinda used some of the verbiage in it to put in this one, so.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll read it,
I'll get that sample sent off then, we'll just plan on that.
I think everybody's in agreement to that.
yeah, I am.
Okay, could I get on for about 15 minutes for Saban and I? Just update, we don't have any motions or anything at this time. Saban will be down and I'll just update on a couple of things.
We're about 9:40.
It just says,
9:40 is fine.
We'll
Well,
provide it.
is there anything after the break already?
Well, I don't know. You wanna come at 10?
Yes, yeah. Just we're gonna sit down with Saban, go over a few things.
Okay.
It'll give us a little more time to do that.
Jeff, I received a compliment from a citizen for the chipping and the sealing and the quality of it and the fog spray that they've been on.
Nice.
Said your crew has done a fantastic job.
Nice, yeah, they have done a good job this year. I've heard it a little bit both ways, I've got a couple of, not so happy people, but,
Well,
yeah,
this guy
it looks good.
travels on a lot of roads and all over the state, and he gave you a great compliment.
I'll pass that on, I
Please do.
definitely will. Definitely will.
22nd looks very nice, in my area anyway.
Yeah. I will pass that on, crews need to hear that. Just one more real quick comment if I could, guys, this is unsolicited by you. I'd just like to give my opinion on I know you guys had a lot of discussion on the drug and alcohol testing. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with the way it's already written and done. I know I've been in, the safety sensitive positions, non-DOT, when I was at the appraiser's office, when I was at, emergency management. I knew what my role is, I knew that that I drove a vehicle, I knew I was subject to drug testing. Is it inconvenient sometimes? Yes. Do I think it was necessary? Absolutely. Everybody needs to know that I'm not out there doing drugs, any employee's not out there doing drugs and driving county vehicles. Just my opinion. As far as the fairness of it, it's out of my control that elected official can opt out of that, so it's not my worry, not my concern. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there on that. I just think it's all right the way it is. Anyway.
Thank you.
This says 90%.
90%?
Or greater.
Or greater, okay. That shouldn't be.
You know, you talk about percentages, I never did work with any percentages, always PSI. What's 90% compared to the PSI?
I couldn't tell you, I've never worked with PSI.
See,
I know that,
And all the
the landfill compaction's 10 to the -7 on compaction, which is even a little bit different that I don't completely understand. I know that's just as tight as wood here.
the structures, you know, we did for grain storage from different locations, it was all PSI. There was nothing about the percentage.
Yeah.
And to me, 90% for dirt is probably very, very different than 90% to screenings. I'd almost bet there's a
Okay,
difference.
well,
But
that's exactly right, and that's why they want the soil sample, to see what it takes to get that
90%.
that particular
the 90%.
product that we're using
Yeah.
to that compaction.
If it's a 2-inch left, 6-inch left, or 5-inch left.
Does it specify the list by any by any?
We always put everything in at 6.
No.
That was
But if that's lighter, drier, you're not gonna be able to put it in. You're gonna have to put it in like a 3-inch lift, probably, if you're adding water to it.
Yeah, I would say so, and how you incorporate that water is beyond me.
Well, and there's a discussion we never really had either, as to, you know, putting someone in charge of overseeing this as a whole for the county. So I guess what I'm doing is asking, we can put Jeff in that role,
We could-
somebody from your department,
We can keep an eye on
or
it.
somebody from your department.
Right,
I mean, I think Ronnie's knowledgeable of
oh, yeah.
what's going
The
on.
two
You
engineer
got
techs.
Ryan, and you
Oh, yeah.
got tons of them down there, knowledgeable of the procedure, how that's supposed to take place.
Yeah,
And then you'd have the Blackstone guy there as well, too,
Right. Right.
kind of directing the contractor, so to speak.
I'll visit with Mike then and see what he plans on doing when he goes back with that dirt. That'll give us an idea
Okay.
if we need to talk about anything or not.
And I think it would be best if Jeff or someone from his department spoke with the contractor on behalf
Yeah.
for us, I guess. So
Yeah.
that way, everybody's on the same page.
So, they did talk to him last week on the rubble, so
Okay,
I think we're on the same page there.
that's all I want. I
If it
don't,
gets too dirty, we'll just have to put it in the landfill, but they're
okay,
gonna try.
okay.
And it should start coming down tomorrow. That was on my to-do, the gas company's coming out there, Atlas is coming today, and they're gonna start actually tearing it down tomorrow.
Okay.
Good to know.
And you did say it stated just supplying the dirt.
It says, contractor must backfill and compact for all material placed or disturbed. County will provide the dirt to be used to backfill for the demolition site. County will not haul or transport the backfill dirt. And it even states the same, but basically the same thing when it talks about the density, 90% or greater. And, so the site will drain. County will not haul or transport any of the backfill dirt.
Okay.
It doesn't say how it's gonna load it.
No. Well, they'd have to load it.
Put a loader, you're transporting it
Well, initially you are.
to a truck.
From the ground to the truck.
Okay, we'll go with that. I'll hopefully have an update for you on Monday, a little bit on that too.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Got any others?
Do you have that motion for Carl's job description?
Do you have an old job description? I didn't bring one up. Well,
What changed?
What's changed? That's what I
Page
want.
3,
Huh?
Page 3.
I don't have it.
That's all I was curious in, what
I can
was
make
changed.
extra copies there.
Page 3, bullet point 1, I changed one of the sentences in it, that's all.
Do we make a copy further?
No, I don't, I mean, I'm sure somebody else would have this one, I'm just curious of what to,
That's it.
so, what did change, what,
What I did was, third sentence. Basically what I changed was, requires walking over varying terrain. And what I added in there was, I put within the parentheses, tall weedy vegetation, clumpy or uneven landscape. Because sometimes when they're out there, you may have to walk over ground in which the weeds have grown up in, or uneven landscape that can make it to where, if your knees or your back ain't good, you can fall.
Injure yourself.
Yeah.
Hurt.
That's
Very
it.
good, that's good.
That's it.
Stop it, mine. Did I give you a motion, Jeff? Oh.
Good one.
No, I'm not.
I was not giving you nothing. I must have stopped at dawn.
Just one short.
Yeah.
Move to approve revised job description for environmental sanitation officer and authorize and direct the chairman to sign the same.
so moved.
Bob moved,
Second.
Tom seconded. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I sign this.
Yeah. Just to follow up on water, if you want to stop by the office and just I can show you what I got as far as numbers, so it can give you a little bit of more of an education of what the two water plants are involved, produce, and what their water right contract is, or water right allocation, and what their water contract is. So. I mean,
Gotta have that piece of paper before you can leave.
yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll get started on the checks and vouchers.
At 79, Blue Clinic is strong now.
They was lined up out on the road. There was a lot of people there. A whole lot.
Fire stations do a great job of supporting.
They do, yeah.
Each of the stations has set people there to help us, so if there's anything that you need, thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Carl.
2026.
You guys are
It'll be down on the ground by then.
It's fine.
Yeah, looking at that picture.
I haven't heard of any of them lasting all that long.
I haven't either. And when I've always heard them talk about these, we got the generic ones in place.
Richmond Body Works, $7,000. We have is that from a police cruiser?
How much?
7,101.
That's the food.
Has to be, because that's ours.
Vehicle maintenance.
Probably be in those vouchers, so.
Should we just start putting them in here?
I'd assume.
What's that check number?
We want some rubber,
101.50.
so other advised.
Yep.
They do good work over there.
Install grill garden wiring. Right, parts provided by owner. 2020 Chevy Tahoe, probably sheriff's vehicle. Highway.
Good morning, Wade.
Love the baskets.
Yeah.
Wade, I think you're gonna get a copy of this.
Bobby and Carl and you when we get close to being done? With checks and vouchers? I guess there's, I'm assuming that you knew.
I do now. And then when you're done, we were gonna revisit the drug and alcohol policy, so.
Okay.
So just the summary for when that time comes, my recommendation will be to wipe it out, suspend the non-DOT portion, not do anything until it can be looked into a little bit more. So suspend it, that means then Andrea can call and have that part of it suspended.
Suspended from the next quarter.
Right.
There's one bill.
Tuesday, good court day?
What's a good court day?
What do you think happened that you wanted to happen?
We went from, we started right at 9 and I walked out of the courtroom 2 minutes to 5. So,
Long day.
Did you get lunch?
a very short lunch. We didn't stop until about 12:35, and then we started back up at about 1:30. Actually, taking lunch has become a rarity. But we're doing a mixture of in-person and Zoom, and
You can snack off camera. You can snack off camera.
No, I mean, I'm in the courtroom.
Oh,
Zoom has its benefits, but it has its, yeah. It's some people take Zoom court seriously, others are driving, they're driving down the road, they're smoking, they have their hats on, they are walking through the convenience store, they're using the bathroom, they're
couldn't do that if you were sitting in the courtroom.
they're laying in bed without a shirt on. I mean, you name it, it's happening on Zoom. So, but there is a benefit for someone who has a speeding ticket or they don't have their registration, it's a must appear, and they live in San Francisco, California. If a phone or something like that, I can see it both ways. So, it's a new day and time.
And we're accepting it. That's the problem. During a Zoom meeting, you ought to be dressed for court.
Yep.
And if you're not dressed for court,
Even during court, they're not
yeah,
dressed for court.
I know.
I've been down there.
Anymore.
Yeah.
So it used to be that I've been in court in different places. I think this happened in Shawnee County. Someone came in and they had marijuana leaves all over their shirt, and the judge says, "You're not gonna come in my courtroom that way." And they went out, turned it inside out, and came back in. Same thing with wearing shorts to court. you need to leave, come back dressed appropriately.
I seen the court in them shorts, and he got asked to leave and come back when he did not have shorts on.
So,
Guilty.
Yeah, if I was a judge.
You're in contempt, lockup.
Yep.
unfortunately, part of that's how people were raised, and they don't, the courtroom is, they don't understand that that's a place where there's a certain, responsibility to come in dressed a certain way. Yeah, they're normal, and other people's normal, for a lot of people, is just different, so you have to be careful not to hold it against people, because oftentimes they just don't know any better. Most do, but some don't.
There's a lot of truth to what you just said. I witnessed it.
Yep.
Just, yeah.
You know, there's some people that go to church and they dress that way because that's what they have, and they don't, you know, you're not gonna turn them away from church because what they're wearing. I think, it's just having that sympathy, empathy, and level of understanding for people.
I think their thinking is sometimes that they're being inconvenient. It's not really their fault, kind of yours.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Angie, here's a utility bill from the city of Brunson,
Huh?
$12,000. It's never even been close to that before, has it?
Seems like it usually ran around the 6 to 8, I thought.
One of the meters is 10,300.
1 meter is
One
1,000.
I don't know what that would be.
10,326. I don't remember, it seems like it's always been in the 5 or 6 range.
Yeah, I was thinking 6.
Yeah, utilities.
Biden and inflation.
I'll look up history on that real quick for you, Don.
Could be a demand meter, and it peaked out, they're gonna keep charging you the high
Yeah.
price for a while.
Well, and it's been a hot summer.
I wouldn't think it, I don't recall what it's been before. I wouldn't think it would be up 2/3 of it.
Let's see.
And I may be, I just don't recall what it is. But during the summer,
It was 9,858 in
Okay.
August.
Okay, that's the one I had.
July, 9,412.
I just didn't remember being quite that much.
Yeah, I didn't either. June, it was 8,700.
What was a year ago?
Year ago was 9,667.
I'll be darned. I figured it'd be 6,000.
That's what I thought too.
I did too.
I wonder if they'd have, maybe they haven't increased the rates yet either. I don't know.
Come talk to me about it.
Okay, in January, it was 6,689.
You've been
but
elec-
then October-
electricity, so,
Ain't running AC.
yeah, yeah.
It did used to be 6, Dawn. It's just gone up.
Depends on if you run AC or not,
Yeah. 2020, it was around 6,700.
in the summer.
That was January. May was 6,700. June was 8,000. 2020. So
That's in the
like
ballpark.
summer.
Not a whole lot, not a whole lot, is it?
You've got to add the extension on it now, they've got their own building too, so
Oh, yeah.
that's another $500.
That's true.
We got an invoice here from Cook, Platt and Stroll. A total of 34,000, 20,000 of it's for the trail, 14,000 is a stormwater study. How much is we gonna get back on grant money? How much,
Well,
cause that trail's got a lot of grant money in it,
have they gotten any grant money for it, for the trail?
not that I
I don't
recall.
think they've received anything.
I don't
This is
think
just
we have.
But
This is
You
just get a plan.
we pay all this money up front. Can it be backed into it?
I'd say it probably could be, but you're either gonna put it in the match side, or you're gonna have to pay for your,
You have to have shovel-ready projects, basically halfway designed, and then you apply for the grant. You have to show,
Apply for the grant after the fact?
you know,
so to speak,
I didn't realize it.
so to speak. It's not complete, I mean, I don't know
I guess
all the
I
procedure,
I guess I
but,
never did ask that question. We pay for it up front.
well, yeah. You have to basically get it designed to make it a shovel-ready project, then they can take it to the state and apply for the grants for that project. Now, are those costs somewhat reimbursed, because it won't be 100%
It won't be 100.
it'll be at 80% at best, so. But
You don't-
still,
you don't-
if you're saving 80% on a $700,000 project, that money you put up front's not all wasted.
but if you spend $150,000 to get a shovel-ready plan, and then you don't get the grant, you just blown that $150,000.
Yeah, but you can still save those, the plan if you're willing to just re-up the next year. So what's this address? Courthouse?
110 South Sixth.
This is? Okay. That's 600.
600.
Oh, that said 600 Neosho.
That road, not road and bridge.
600 Neosho, this would be this
Oh, yeah.
corner, and six in Neosho.
Yeah.
600 Neosho.
Is that the church?
That's 601.
Church is 601?
No, it's 600, no, it is 600, because this is the odd, that's the even side, this is the odd side, 600. So there probably was a charge for them to come in and disconnect stuff. Here's the
They didn't have anything on it, it was $704.
What was the usage though, when, here, how much did it use?
3640?
Mhm.
Was that the disconnect?
It just showed 36.
Is that the gas?
It showed the usage of 3640.
But the bill's $700 some dollars?
Yeah, I didn't know we had anything on over there.
That's electricity?
Yeah,
Well,
It'd be kinda hard to,
is it just for electricity? Do we get a separate bill for everything, or just
no, it all comes on.
No.
all comes together then?
Mhm.
Yeah.
would be from the previous.
We've had it,
Maybe there's money owed against it. Previous bill.
Mhm.
You assume the previous bill? Previous owner's bill? I don't know. If it's tied
We've
to
owned
that
it longer
address.
than, we've owned it longer than
Bonus in the first of the year.
yeah.
Do you want me to call Ann and see?
Oh, it's not, I mean, it'll go away after
Yeah,
this
but-
month.
We're gonna pay it anyway.
Yeah, but, I mean, with that water right there, I don't know what FA is. So electricity was 427, and then water usage, I would get some 128.
I remember, I couldn't figure out what the FA was.
I think that's from the ice storm down in Texas a year ago.
FEMA.
I mean, cause they all have the FA on them, and I don't know what FA is.
Fuel,
charge.
well, FA would be a fuel, fuel assess, I don't know,
Assessment,
assessment, fuel assessment?
yeah.
I meant to ask Jeff today, or sometime. You know, they had quite a bit of money on file with FEMA. Have we received any funds from the FEMA flooding 2 years ago?
Jeff does have an answer for that. 'Cause
I'm sorry?
I said Jeff does have an answer for that. We spoke about it here a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I believe it was Jeff. It's still in the process, so to speak, if I remember right, or maybe Angie knows.
The levees east of Leroy, I think they've received all their FEMA money, I think.
Probably that FA is fuel assessment, because Evergy has one
I don't
used.
show
They're doing
anything,
it.
Dawn.
I'm sorry?
I don't
They're
show
charging us
anything.
for fuel used in power generation, which probably be the same thing.
I was thinking the county had $200,000 coming in, but I forget the dollar amount.
We may, but we haven't gotten anything yet that I show.
They're hoping you forget about it, Don.
Yeah.
I'll ask Jeff Monday where they. I think I'll talk to him today or tomorrow, and maybe he needs to check into it. Yeah, that's been probably 2 years now.
See, I'm still trying to digest this, well, because it was cheaper to run the ag extension office last month than it was at church.
Seems pretty fishy,
What
doesn't it?
was going on in that church we don't know about? But I'm sure the extension office kept it cool.
That's 225 Cross Street, would be extension,
Yeah.
right at $400.
I'd make a phone call about that.
$399.94.
too.
And
I'd call Ann and have her explain it.
$704 at the church.
We don't know what the initials mean, just have her
Okay.
explain it.
FA is the one that's the most,
Well,
No.
just
No.
have her,
Why
It's
is
the
the
fact that
church
we didn't
more
use
than-
any electricity
At all.
And then I don't know what WAOF is,
okay. I'll
and
just give her a
then
call.
the fuel assessment, I guess, and tax, So like I say, if you go over here to the extension office across, it was $400 for the month total,
What was the fuel assessment on the extension?
$61.72. $103 on this one. That's percentage of your bill on the same.
Yeah, it would be.
And they're four.
I'd have them explain it, because it doesn't make sense.
Why is a vacant building costing more than a
Ag extension,
ag extension office?
That'd be a pretty good short.
even more than, the annex, sheriff's annex.
Maybe they got the numbers over on the wrong location.
Should be.
I'd tell them we'll be striking that 600.
I didn't, Bob's the one, and Don's the only one that signed it, but
That's all right.
I was like, so I have to watch out, because when it comes in, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to separate out each month, so.
You just get one for, Howard, jail, Howard.
No, not yet. Not yet.
How much was that?
Elk County.
Elk County, yeah.
1,300 or one.
1385.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So between it and Lyon County, it's $4,220 for inmates.
This month.
Software for the election.
Yeah, $24,000.
It was in her budget.
Yes,
For
yes,
last year.
that's cheap.
Sure is.
I don't know why I remember some of those things.
Wouldn't you like to have electric car in Florida today?
Yeah.
Getting ready to leave for the hurricane
I'd
and
drive
get
it
on
in.
the interstate?
I'd drive it into the surge waters.
Well, just trying to leave this morning, and you're headed out, and you're on a traffic jam in the middle of Florida in your electric vehicle.
You have to shut it off, don't you?
Well, what happens if you go dead on the interstate, and if they have 50% of them, can you imagine that traffic jam dead on the interstate?
It'd be interesting. One of my friends headed down there. work for a power company.
Wouldn't that be great if the truck's going to respond to that with electric?
Yep. Could make it.
I see, California's got an all-electric fire truck.
It'd be interesting to see how that's gonna work.
In a hurricane, that'd be great.
For a wildfire, it might not be worth burning.
There's no some clothing here for the treasurer.
Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much
you.
for that.
No
Why
problem.
would anyone need a ladies hooded core soft shell
This
jacket?
was the second one that they had submitted.
The one above it is.
Make sure Wade gets all this, I gave mine to Wade.
Oh, okay, I've got a copy for him. right
Good.
there.
I'll take Wade's copy of that one.
Why?
Of the one that you gave him?
Yeah.
There you go.
Cause it's too cold in there probably.
I guess.
Call them in.
I don't care. I can argue with him. That's Richards, and he has the right to do what he wants with them. So it's his call. And his budget, I guess.
Mm. So this is Pacific Turbines.
Okay. So, for the electrical usage, they said there was some, usage there, and at the last, she said that something was pulling for electricity, but they didn't know what, and so when they pulled the meter, it has a multiplier of 20, and that's where the usage was calculated, and this was the final calculation on that. The WAOF is water off fee, and there were 6 units in there with, between bathrooms or whatever, that they still have to charge a minimum. And so that's where the $128, and then the FA is fuel cost adjustment, so.
Maybe the air conditioner or something was running over there.
And maybe somebody was staying in it, squatting in it or something. I don't know.
That will be an interesting read for you, Tom.
Thank you, Angie.
Now we know.
Like Paul Harvey. And
The rest of the story.
I miss Paul Harvey.
I do too.
Good, thanks.
I'll set that there, so I know. Medical expenses.
$1,700 interpreter fees.
Interpreter fees. Illegals across the border.
7,700 for medical expenses.
They can't speak English, just put them in jail and forget about it.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna throw my back out and then go and run into something.
Yep.
$70 an hour for an interpreter.
You know,
Yeah.
I think.
Hello.
Why do we get reimbursed?
You guys get any benefit out of Capital Journal anymore?
Well, the only time we do is when we're looking for, deaths we may not have captured through the
And shortage of toilet paper.
state.
Pretty expensive, isn't it?
More than $12.
Can we recycle it?
The paper. Capital Assembly. Oh my.
Angie, here's a bill from Whitney Dillon for $12.50 for labeling a contract attorney. Is this over and above our contract with him? I was thinking,
That's just his monthly
Yeah,
bill.
that's his monthly bill, I think.
I'm sorry,
That's his monthly
Just
bill.
monthly pay.
Yeah.
it's his monthly, I was thinking it was different than $12.50 though.
No.
It is
No.
$12.50.
Mhm.
Now, they all raised them up here not too long ago. What was it, 6 months ago?
Yeah, that's what I asked.
It was back in early spring. They were what? There was like 1,000 and. then they went up to like-
$1,950.
Yeah, but when Jessica Hazen came in here a year ago, and we asked about that, they got so many dollars set up, and if there's only 3 attorneys retained for that month, they'll get more than what the next month, there might be 4 attorneys to retain. So it does, that moves back and forth. But this is labeled contract attorney, and this is different than the others. This is his monthly fee.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was a hair more than that.
How come this has Mulvane address
What are you talking about?
for Heather True? Here's the, right there, it has the Mulvane address in it.
But those all go to that.
Yeah.
Everything went through that white box. That sheriff's office?
They're in ours.
Oh, there was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Janet better?
Do what?
Is Janet better?
Yes, much.
How's your, was it a niece that had COVID?
She pulled through it.
She pulled through it? The
She's
one that
been
was in the
home.
hospital?
Niece
for-
in law.
Niece-in-law, okay.
Yep.
I remember a long time ago you was,
She pulled through it.
good.
4
That
months
she-
in the hospital.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's in the hospital forever.
Yeah.
Did she have any underlying illnesses?
No.
How old was she?
37.
I should have been dead a long time ago.
Can't get rid of it today.
I'm gonna get something for this all over your coffee.
Those are all the checks Jesse has signed.
If I've had it for a month,
Yeah.
off and on.
Tom, just start pre-treating. It'll be better.
Make me cough now.
Ivermectin.
Just start pre-treating. A little good, more better.
Ivermectin's approved now.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Imagine that.
Yep.
Is it really?
Mhm.
I think Dr. Fauci needs to early retire.
He is, he's retiring with
Before he gets prosecuted.
Before that.
I'd like to retire for the money he's making.
Yeah.
His retirement funds is higher than the president's. His retirement's 400,000, 420 or 30.
I think he needs to swing from an oak tree by a iron rule. That's his name.
Totally unreal.
He's kind of scared us lately.
He's probably over in the Wuhan lab, ready for the next round. Did I say that out loud?
No, I didn't hear it though.
I talked to somebody. Where was I at? Oh, Missouri. Jeff City area. Had their first case of monkeypox.
Nope.
I heard Wichita had 4 new ones today,
Really?
12 in the state.
They're trying to get it spread out before the election.
Yeah.
I made a interesting call yesterday. Looked on my personal ATM card, and it's of course got these on it. I called the Kansas Bankers Association. I got moved into the lawyer. I just asked a simple question: if I was choosing to go and buy a firearm this weekend, just curious if I would end up on a list on the credit card company. I will be getting a response back. Look
Yeah, I
forward
got-
to it.
I got asked about Tim Johnson last night. With somebody you spoke to at the bank. Yeah. I said, he's a bird dog. I said, he is hot on this. He's the best Brittany ever
I
ever
just got
brought out.
curiosity.
You know, I was thinking about that firearm purchase from a, they don't know. Just say you go to Shields or you go to Dick's, or not Dick's, they don't sell guns because they're liberals, but, Cabela's or something, and you spend $1,500. It doesn't state that it was a AR-15 or a .357. It just says Cabela's or Shields $1,500. There's no, I don't know how, unless they're somehow connecting the line item receipt with the credit card charge.
Under, do they have a specific number there?
Like item code?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Well, I mean, when you get your credit card statement, it just says, you know, Cabela's or
Cabela's.
Bass Pro, $1,500 or $800, whatever it is. It doesn't state what was purchased unless there's some way they can go in and look into that.
Or they're flagging it somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet they got a way to
Maybe
it out.
check with
Well-
Cabela's. Ask them, do we have to check the code
Well,
and
Also do that tomorrow.
go through and
Flag it.
that they would know it's handled over.
Good idea.
Because they would set that up at the store, I would think, if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah,
Mastercard
it might be,
in
yeah,
there.
it might be faster to work the backside on that and go to the store first.
Yeah.
I could call up the Harrison's there in Linden. I know they're not gonna set anything up that's not mandatory.
Good idea.
But your big stores might.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, they're being forced to, just like John Deere's being forced to produce, getting farmers to switch over to battery tractors,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
on and so forth.
Yeah, we'll wait, make what they break. Catch up. Can't hold that progress. You don't wanna push a lot on you.
He can only handle so much at a time.
Covering me up over here.
You're gabbing too much, Tim.
I'll be quiet.
Too much talking.
I'll get to work, Don.
You need more worky, less talky.
We got all day. I got your peppers out in the pickup, Tom.
Okay. I keep eyeballing this little cherry tomato plant out west. Keep waiting for a ripe one on there. And I think everybody's been waiting on it, and I'm just the last one showing up.
I think they're being picked before they
Yeah,
get ripe.
I'm thinking you're right.
Tom, kinda hold on for some.
I need to bring you
Just a
some
little.
then. I got some I can get rid of.
Little cherries. My wife loves them, but she can't eat them anymore.
I love them.
It's the best cherry tomato you buy, it's one called Juliet.
Juliet.
Yep.
About two-thirds size, you talk about something that's,
Sweet.
go out in the garden, grab 8 or 10 of them.
You don't have to worry about sipping. I love putting them in salads. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did yesterday, I stuffed peppers for jalapenos and bell peppers for 2 hours plus. Those yesterday, I put shrimp and mushrooms and wild rice and 2 or 3 different types of cheeses.
And the bell peppers.
On the jalapenos and bells, and not too bad to eat.
I'm not a bell pepper fan. I'm a jalapeno fan. Not a bell pepper fan.
We do a lot of hot sausages.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in the freezer, and every meal not every meal, but take out what you want to eat. Stuff like that freezes good, and
Jesse, have you been dropping very many cell phone calls lately?
Not near enough.
That's funny. I'm ever since last. Give me a minute. When did I go and see Luke? I think it was last Wednesday I went and seen Luke. From Beto Junction on to Emporia, I had nothing on that Wednesday night. Got it back for a little bit, dropped it again, and around Emporia they really had a problem that night. Now, I'm still just dropping everybody.
In Burlington, I have problems. More so than anywhere. I can talk all the way from my office, all the way down to 75. But when I get in town of Burlington, I have
Nothing.
mean, your phone calls are being dropped.
Oh, yeah, terrible.
You need to be talking along, see, it used to be around Yoshua Rapids.
Yes.
You'd always lose it, but that's gotten better, and it used to be right around Depot along the interstate, from like the exit to the overpass, nothing. The one sitting right there is that tower sitting there, but that's a private tower. And that private tower has a Verizon signal on it, but that tower goes down because the owner won't work on the tower, so therefore the Verizon does not get its power.
Well, I'm on US Cell, and
Yeah, I never have any drops.
Wednesday night, and I even walked in and knocked on Luke's door, and he goes, "Dad, what are you doing?" Usually I don't, I just call him. And,
Me no phone.
I had no phone.
I'm sorry?
I see you got your phone. I remember back when, I think you were the chairman at the time, we made a deal, no phones in this office.
Oh, yeah?
Did
For your
it
meeting.
for years.
I'm good
Everybody
for
got
that.
it.
I'm good for that.
And I don't have mine, but.
I'll leave it in the truck.
I can leave mine in.
Can I leave mine in there?
In where?
Yeah, in my car when I come in.
Yeah, you can leave it anywhere you
Leave
want.
it in with your phone.
There's days I'd like to throw it out the window.
It's your phone.
I see some schools up north are going to no cell phones in school too.
Suits me just fine.
Yep.
I go check on my daughter. She lives over on Second Street. There's kids sitting out waiting on the bus, and every kid's got a phone.
Yep.
You wanna try one of these?
Oh, I love them. I get them up at,
You want
I
one?
get, sure, sure.
Since we were talking about stuff,
Pickled okra, hot pickled okra. Oh, yes.
they're my favorite too.
Yes,
You wanna try one, Don?
Yeah,
those things are
there's
addictive.
nothing wrong with good okra. I got okra plants now, it's about head high.
Mm,
I just got it, you wanna try
No.
one?
those
You
are
don't
hot.
wanna try one? You
No,
don't?
thanks.
I'm gonna pass. Thank you very much, but
I'm not an okra person
These
at
are
all.
not even hot.
No, I just don't.
I don't like okra.
Oh, you
I don't like
okra.
tomatoes either, actually.
Oh.
You
I
gotta
like
stop
fried
with
okra.
tomatoes, but
You don't
I
like
love
tomatoes?
tomatoes.
I don't know what it is. I can eat them on a taco if it's there, but
Uh-huh.
other than that, I don't.
Those are good.
Now the jalapeno, when I'm making poppers to put on the grill there, I'll eat them raw right before I even cook them.
Really?
There's no heat in this at all.
Not really, no.
I'm just not a fan of okra, I don't know why, maybe it's the texture, I don't.
There's zero heat.
Like fried okra, kind of a little cross section, I like that.
Not my son, he's always, springtime, always picking them mushrooms, and it's like, they're okay, but all it takes really is a batter, it's not.
What do you stuff your jalapenos with?
Cream cheese, bacon bits, and shredded cheese.
That stuff. Most
When you
times.
bring in some.
He's got a bunch out in his truck.
No, after you've done that.
Yeah, stop by the house, it's usually
We mix ours with
Friday,
hot,
Saturday night.
with hot sausage and Philadelphia cheese and Parmesan cheese. Nothing wrong with it.
Used to wrap
Makes the
them,
jalapenos even a little hotter with the hot cheese, or hot sausage.
used to wrap them in bacon and cook them that way, but got to where just
I
put
wrap
bacon bits and mix them with some cheese.
I wrapped some of it with bacon the other day and put it in the freezer.
See, I've done that, they just turn out too mushy.
The pepper itself will be a little on the mushier side when it's freezing.
I did just call Darren because he does have two that want to say that we're due on.
Cause we got some we gotta get reassigned in the next 3 or 4 months.
Did you wanna try a?
Several of them.
I haven't.
You're welcome.
Did you wanna try a hot okra? They're not
No,
really
thank
hot.
you.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, no, I appreciate it.
Those there don't have any heat in them at all.
I know.
Yeah, we did reappoint Brett or Pat.
Yeah, so I just called him this morning when I printed that up and he was like, oh yeah, I guess we didn't, but they do both want to be reappointed, so I'll get that going for Monday.
Yeah, they don't have any heat. They say they're hot, but they're not.
I got those Wahlburger pickles that I didn't realize were hot, but they have a tiny little word hot on the, yeah, those are super hot.
Get you the Peroski pickles,
They're spicy. Really?
mustard seed on it.
Yeah.
That'll clean your nose out. I went to Hoover's last night to get me some pork steaks. They was out of pork steaks. But I got some.
They ever had a pork steak?
Yeah, got some big pork chops. It was in a pack, $6.10, and there was 5.
There's really a
Pack
on
or a
those.
pound?
No, for the pack.
For the pack.
It was $1 something a pound.
Yeah,
They're running a sale on those.
Big sale. I'm gonna stop back by there on the
probably
way.
off today though.
Oh, my.
It would be off.
Unless they're having them on sale again, but I meant to get some yesterday and I forgot.
The new sale will be coming up. I'm hoping them pork loins on sale.
I've never had a pork loin that I like.
Always dry.
It's always dry.
Yeah.
Pork butt was on
And tough.
sale.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. Just people don't know how to cook them or what.
I mean, the big ones?
Yeah.
I have them slice them up like an inch and a half thick. And make like a,
Big pork loin, pork chop.
yeah, like, and then,
And then cook them?
uh,
You slice them first and then cook them?
yeah, but I marinate it for like 24 to 48 hours with salt and then kind of whatever you want after that, but you gotta use the salt. 24 to 48 hours.
Like in a salt water.
No,
Or just salt
I
water?
just put them in like a gallon freezer bag and salt both sides fairly well. And I've got some A1 marinade I use usually, or sometimes just smoked paprika. Let 'em- and cook them
Maybe
on the
that's
grill,
the
but
secret.
the other
Cutting
part
them.
is you don't, it's a, believe it or not, you can, anyway,
Whatever happened last year, over a year ago, where
Yeah.
everybody's gonna have to have a county phone.
so it's,
Instead of using
it's like a
their
chicken
phone.
breast.
It fell by the wayside.
10
Big
minutes on
issue,
the
and it
side
fell by the
about
wayside.
there, but
Mm-hmm.
I really like them.
A lot of people
Try it
cook.
that way, maybe they'll be better.
Or you can have them slice them up like 1 inch if you want. They'll do it there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then just put them in a crock pot. Measure them, soup.
A lot of people cook pork and chicken way too long.
Yeah, that's
Most people do.
the main thing. If you cook it too long, it's
Cook,
done.
cook by temperature.
Yep.
165.
This goes with this, correct?
Right, this all
I'm one of
starts
those
in the
people
new
who never
basket.
cooks, 'cause I'm so afraid of it
Yeah.
not being, so even when I know in my mind it
And,
is.
Is there a new basket here down there somewhere?
Yes, it's
Yes,
right here,
it's
but he hasn't, these go in there,
Okay, but he hasn't signed them yet.
correct?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll go ahead and take these.
Yeah, so many people overcook their pork and chicken. So I like my pork spicy. I do all the spices on it.
Yeah.
Cayenne pepper, slap your mama, garlic.
When you smoke your ribs, how long you smoke them?
I smoke them at like 2:30 until they start pulling, the meat starts pulling on the bones, pulling back on the bones, and then I'll wrap them in foil and put
I was
Coke in
wondering if
them.
you wrapped your,
I've done wrapped Coke in them. I baste them every hour. I pour, Dr. Pepper over
Yeah.
top of them.
You're kind of a little cook.
You're telling your secret.
On my secret.
I'm gonna smoke ribs this weekend.
Yeah, you can do it at whatever temperature you want. I always smoke them for an hour, cause the meat will absorb smoke for an
Yeah.
hour. I won't do it any longer. And then I'll crank it up to 250.
You're probably using pellets, aren't you?
Yeah.
I just use charcoal.
Oh,
I can regulate it, you know, within 10 or 15 degrees what I need. I never did buy a pellet mill.
I put stuff on every hour, keep them moist, and then when the meat starts pulling away from the bones, I wrap them. Put Dr. Pepper in it and let it simmer for another hour, then you're done.
Do yours fall off the bone, or do you have to chew them?
You can just take that bone
That's
and pull it right
how I
out.
like 'em, yeah.
I don't go quite that far on
Oh,
mine.
really?
I like when they.
I don't wanna have
you know.
to chew things, but I like to chew it off a little too.
Pull them things out, then you slice it up and make you a rib sandwich or something.
Mm.
It's good in scrambled eggs for breakfast next day too.
So do you marinate them in like a mustard
I
marinade?
just dry rub,
Dry rub?
everything's dry rub.
You don't use apple juice? Like pop?
Dr. Pepper, normally. Sometimes I'll smear mustard over them, to make a bonder for the dry rub. Sometimes I don't.
Those do not go in that basket, and
But before I wrap mine, I'm gonna use the barbecue sauce, and honey and brown sugar, third.
Did you send anybody to that
Sure.
CIC conference in Mulvane?
I did not.
Okay, I see. Fraser did and Road Ridge did,
Yeah, there was a deal here a while back, they was going to Mulvane.
but don't you and the treasurer deal with CIC also?
We do, but I don't think anybody was going this year. Thank you.
News sack. I don't know what these card papers are for. I don't get it.
Oh, these are, I don't know either. Something Wayne started, they've been doing it ever since.
We can ask.
Killing another tree.
There you go.
The gas company calls their extra gas hedge factor. And then they have a GSRS surcharge, and an SIP surcharge.
Open house with extension on today, right?
October 6th.
Fifth or sixth?
Fifth. 5.
Cinco. So I heard the big truck stop deal backed out up in Emporia. They're at the 50 roundabout, around the
Really?
west side of town.
After they got that street and everything in,
Uh-huh.
they bailed?
Mhm. Yep, now the land's for sale.
Huh.
Well, they're doing a lot of expanding out there on the west side of Emporia.
Yep.
Lowe's probably didn't mind them backing out, did they?
Who's that?
Lowe's probably didn't mind them backing out, did they?
Oh, Love's is
Flying
over there.
J's.
Flying
Flying
J,
J.
yeah.
Flying J,
Flying
yeah,
J.
say Lowe's, Flying J's got a big deal there.
It's nothing but plastic mafia magnet over there. My gosh, that's a zoo. I tried to come out of that Bush Blue Beacon over there. It was like Black Friday. People try to get into the shop, the stores, the trucks trying to get in there to get fuel. It was nuts. Trucks everywhere.
Dan Butterfield does this work for us. He has a service charge, $10.
$10,
$12,
yeah.
yeah. He doesn't stick charge you an arm and a leg to come out and do the work for you.
Mhm. Disposal, waste disposal fee, shop, miscellaneous shop supply fee. It drives me nuts.
Just raise your bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just put it on the bill and don't tell what all that crap is for.
Yeah, I can't remember. Miscellaneous shop supplies. And they build out zip ties. I figured zip ties would be under miscellaneous shop supplies. But miscellaneous shop supplies was more than the zip tie bill. And then there was a hazardous waste disposal fee. They didn't do anything that was hazardous. I mean, like, they didn't change oil or take fuel out or take coolant out or nothing. I'm like, this is a racket.
Oh, yeah.
Big new month next week.
Don, when's our next meeting in Iowa?
10-10. Got an email from Julie here the other day. Did you get an email?
No, I
They didn't
didn't.
get your email right yet? Yeah, it's at the same location at 6 o'clock.
This time I'm not gonna shut my finger in the door.
see, you're a New Strong resident, aren't you?
Burlington.
Oh, you're
Used to be.
Burlington? Oh.
I'm gonna apply to for that.
That was it. That was it.
I don't know. I about crashed trying to read it. goatdispatchinfo@gmail.com.
Do they,
That's kind of funny.
do they have health insurance available?
We are currently hiring,
Negotiable
okay, this
wages.
is email, we are currently hiring and would love you to join our team. Goat Dispatch uses a 30-day probation time frame for new employees. This time frame lets you assess your readiness for the position and allows us to determine your availability to do your job. Our next step would be to add you to our Snapchat group. Please send your Snapchat ID.
No red flags there.
No red flag there.
Are they gonna run you out into October, or are they gonna keep it open
End of October they'll shut it down.
the end of October?
Riverside West shuts down at the end of this month, which I don't know why.
Sometimes they've left it open during outage.
Oh, really?
So you said you're at East?
We're on west,
Dam
or
side.
dam side. We're on
Oh, okay.
up north.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't been that way for a while. There is a gentleman in town that likes to post stuff on Facebook and clown around. I guess he shot a donkey behind Bob's house.
Yeah, I got my neighbor's donkey. I don't have any donkeys. I know it sounds malicious, he does that, he's always that way. I thought it was kinda cute. Thought it was kinda cute. Where he came up with that.
Between him and a couple, 2 or 3 others,
They can get a job, don't they, so they stay busy instead of.
Wish we would get some rain.
that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So that everybody's on.
I just had mine built. Seeded it a week or so ago and nada.
Yeah.
So Jeff and Ryan are going to the KAC conference, they're gonna be running Road and Bridge while they're gone.
Free for all.
I always wondered why all the top people, when they always leave, that they're important, that we gotta have the jobs and have them there. They can all leave and go to conferences and everything runs okay.
I know the feeling.
Good, Scout. Good, all right. Good.
Wade Thompson down in Western Kansas, when he called me about 5
I guess
minutes.
old fifty Park charge $45, but he can't make very much money at a time driving over there in his equipment, mowing.
I'll call a couple counties and see what the other counties are doing. And I don't want to speak for him, but he's got too much
It's a strong money, but he only charges $25. It's not too far from Hartford, but still, you can't drive that far.
I'd like to foresee.
Especially the price of gas.
Exactly.
Because these mowers, I don't think he has an electric mower.
They're on I-35 north of Williamsburg to Ottawa. I went on my son's pickup last Saturday or Sunday to go up with that Peter. The new asphalt's a little rough.
I thought it was pretty darn smooth.
I did until I got in his pickup.
Man, I thought that, of course, I guess I was comparing it to what it used to be before they
Correct,
fixed it.
correct.
Yeah, I thought it was
But
pretty
his
smooth.
pickup, 3/4 ton, all drive.
Got it jacked up and leveled and
No, it just
forward.
forward. Hey.
There's the problem. There's the problem right there. I mean,
Guys, that's a team.
That's the problem.
I have not had my 89 on it yet. That'll be the test.
I was up there.
Actually, I'll be waiting, let them know about 10 minutes. I text them.
You said you did, or you
Yeah, I
want me
did,
to?
I did.
If I don't get started talking.
You started talking. You're wound up. Top
These
deck.
K-State Ford people are.
Surprised, I must have missed a zoning meeting or planning board meeting this month.
Well, it's my
Normally they call
weekend.
me.
I don't recall getting a sheet for one. Notice the meeting or
They
whatever.
probably canceled it because of the surface. Maybe they didn't have anything.
I thought they had a special one coming up, but
I wanna say it was something about the timing, I can ask with Heidi, but I think I remember her saying something about not having it or something.
I don't always go through my mail, so my wife handles the bills, so I don't have no reason to look at the mail. Just on Round Abendroth, and I thought he would've said something.
You can go ask her really quick.
It's no big deal. Bobby will be in here in a little bit, I guess.
They made this bill where I could see it without my glasses.
There you go.
I had to do a test.
Who's legal to play this week in football?
I don't have any idea.
I was up to the football game last Friday. Dang, they had a crowd.
There at Lebo,
Yeah.
who'd they play? They play you guys?
St. Paul.
Oh, did they win?
Yeah, it was over at half. It was over at half. In fact, I'll take that back. They had to score one touchdown in the second half. Lasted 2-3 minutes in the second half.
Haven't been game yet.
Had a heck of a crowd there.
Was that been homecoming?
No, but it was a special event a lot of young, they were introducing all the young soccer teams, flag football teams. And so there was a lot of parents and grandparents there that, and then the cheerleaders probably had 25 or 30 fourth and fifth graders out there.
Oh.
Well, it says a special night.
Mhm.
I'm gonna approach the school board here. I got two grandkids that go to school, two different schools in Topeka, and they have year lifetime passes for grandparents.
Mhm.
Burlington had their homecoming, I would have thought for their homecoming that alumni would have got in free of charge. It ain't like they're losing money on these things.
Mhm.
The taxpayers are paying for it anyway.
Mhm. Problem is, nobody knows anybody anymore. How do they know your alumni?
In a big school like that,
Well, some George comes off the road from Oklahoma, rolls in, wants to watch football, gets his name's alumni.
Who cares? Well, what if a dozen people come in and says that?
Spend some of that old moldy money, Bob.
It's not a lot. I do, I gotta go. I got
The moms eat more than you
I got
spend.
grandson playing here too, so.
Daddy Warbucks over there.
Yep.
So one of your donkeys.
Clint was there.
So you live right west of Roger?
Yeah, about half a mile back.
Yeah, up on top of the hill.
No.
No, you're on further
I'm
back.
behind the hill.
So you the first driveway or the second driveway?
I'm the first driveway, the first driveway.
You're on the big trees though.
So I got you started.
I'm
I have it quick.
Roger's there, and
It's just sometimes it uses
50
up
feet
for a
from his
while.
driveway down is my driveway.
Okay.
Take a legal.
Maybe a little more.
I think I'm about
50
to get over it, but
Right
it's
there.
slow.
That's the only driveway.
Roger's south line is my
I don't wake
line.
myself up. I
You
don't
hate-
wake
you
myself
hate just
up
south of the
since I'm
house.
on seat
Yeah.
No, I don't, that's his.
That's his.
But I know I'm
Just
confident
right
because I
south of
wake
that
up
hay, there's big
and
long
I'm still
driveway.
need to be confident.
It's got big trees up the driveway.
Yeah.
No, it's a straight driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the trees are cut down,
Really?
hopefully. We've been trying to cut them down.
Yours is the second driveway. The first driveway is east.
My first driveway is south of Roger.
Right, but the first driveway after the bridge.
Oh, but we're coming from the north.
Oh, you're coming from the
Yeah, depends on which way you're
I was
traveling.
coming from the south.
Oh,
I'm
you're coming from the
south.
south.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it
well,
would be the
no.
second, it would be the second one.
I'm the, second driveway from the bridge, you're coming from the south. I thought you were coming from the north. You said south of Rogers, so I figured you were coming by Roger.
I'm getting my old Google map up here.
That first one's kind of a curvy one, that's where, Lynn Sherman used to live back up in there.
That's an S,
Uni bought that up
that's an
there.
S-shaped driveway.
Yeah.
And Schaefer.
Yeah.
Schaefer built it,
Yeah,
and the S was
right.
for Schaefer.
And that was Mark Kramer.
Does Victor live up in that area?
Who?
Victor Driverson?
No, he used to live
He used
there, up
to-
on the hill, a lot of years ago.
Okay.
There's been three or four owners since he was there.
That must be, that's your house.
Yes, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, that's my, yeah.
Okay.
Coach Leach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's Roger.
Mhm.
Yeah, you gotta go all the way up that driveway and then can't go anywhere but to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a county road going to your house or
No,
is
it's my
it
driveway.
private all the
It's
way?
my driveway.
I think there's a sign there that says driveway, doesn't it?
Yep. No,
Private drive?
No, it says out back ran.
Oh.
No, it's private property. We
Maybe
tried
it's
to give
wrong.
it to the county one time, but they wouldn't take it.
And the twin brother.
Tell you, Reedville's gonna have they're gonna have some big classes coming up.
Are they?
All the young kids out there,
Good.
their numbers in their grade school must be awful big.
I'll leave that for you in
Yeah.
January.
Okay.
So just leave
We
it.
had 20 or 25 people in.
in your line.
Pardon?
Well, they have 25, 30 people in the class.
There's a lot of kids, running around.
Yeah, but you gotta remember that's 8 years of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mariota was playing for Oregon Ducks. They were in the fifth.
If they wouldn't be a 2A school in 3 or 4 years.
Really?
I flew out there just so I could watch it. Guys, played K-State.
Your,
Good game.
heating and air, we wanna touch on
They got their
that?
ass away.
Yeah, because they are on the schedule to get that
34
going.
to 8 or 7.
Thursday and Friday.
Did you all get the email about the Modern Air working on the air conditioner out here? Units,
We can,
100 pounds of Freon. What that unit takes out there.
Not cheap.
Was $5,200, something like, $5,700?
Any way they can find that
They
leak?
can put that in 12-ounce cans.
I bet not.
Yeah, they got
That's
this
a print
exposed
of my muscle up
shape.
there, but I wanna say 57.
Yeah, it was between $5,000 and
Yeah.
$6,000.
I opened a 55
I
gallon
suppose we probably
barrel.
want to, you haven't given them the go-ahead to fix it yet, have you?
I had to tell them to get on the schedule because
Okay.
they said they've got it.
Yeah, just go ahead and get it done, I'd say anyway.
Kinda
Fix the leak.
Kinda got it.
Was there a planning zoning board meeting this month?
Canceled it,
Canceled it, okay.
no business.
No business, good. I didn't miss it then. I guess you got my text message.
I did, I didn't read it, I'm sorry.
But no, I just said 10 minutes. Wade hasn't answered me back, so,
Let me run down and see.
yeah, I'm gonna see if he's available. I guess you wanna wait in here for,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Brandon.
We holidays next month. Yeah. Halloween. It's not Halloween, Tim? He's asleep.
We'll have checks and vouchers October 19th, no, we're
19th.
26th.
Tomorrow's that Southeast Kansas meeting,
But,
if any of you are going.
We got
I'm not
vouchers
going.
enough
I'm
for
not going.
26th.
no, leave me go.
I said
That's
I
what's
was,
originally
and
set up
I
for,
cannot.
They're always the same old crap
I think
anyway.
Christine was
So,
on 26th.
when we doing checks and vouchers for October?
October, we're doing them on the 26th,
26th.
Wednesday, the 26th.
When? 26?
Christine is here on the 24th.
So while we're doing that, when we're gonna do them in November then?
28th,
Okay.
which is Monday. And then December's Tuesday, the 27th. Because we're closed Monday, the 26th.
And then,
And we'll also be closed on the 2nd, right?
Correct.
and then Bob's days are numbered.
Quite a few buddies that are commissioners or neighbor numbered too, and we keep in contact.
Keep in contact. We'll have a big luncheon all together.
Yes, we are.
Heck, yeah.
Yes, we are.
I guess, Bobby, you got more stuff for us? We're
Yes, sir.
doing what we're doing.
Wanted to talk through a couple things. Some of them are related to that project up north, the Vito project. So the effort to acquire the necessary signatures from enough parties to create that community improvement district at Vito, we talked about last week, but we got the email of the signed petitions and rebate agreement from TA yesterday, and we're hopefully in the mail today we'll get the fully executed copies. I was hoping it'd be here in time while y'all were here so you could sign it and get it on, en route. Tomorrow, or is it tomorrow? Friday, at 10:30.
It's a Friday.
Wade and Serrano and are going to get on the phone and talk through the next steps of statutorily to finish setting up, incorporating this CID and other things. Just to let y'all know, one of the things I'm going to do, as soon as we get that physical document, the petition, not the agreement, I'm going to go out there and get the remaining signatures, attempt to show that we have tried. It's not necessarily that all those people actually participate, because it really don't affect them. I'm talking about the people in the storage building and the shop there, Lebo Garage. Is that the name of it?
Lebo Garage.
It's mainly only affecting those 2 gas stations and the 2 restaurants, Subway and the Wendy's. And so that should be, depending on if they get everything discussed properly, the attorneys will take the steering wheel back over and zip that up as soon as possible. One of the other things that we were instructed to do by the state of Kansas is to create a sewer district out of that, multiple districts. So this is one of them, a sewer district. It is a statutory action that the commission has to create a boundary similar to the way we did the CID, but create a sewer district out there so that when there are public sewer services improvements made out there, that this thing is formally incorporated and the county can charge fees to the people who use that service. And on that note, we don't expect the residents out there to necessarily join up, but those businesses, like the gas stations, the existing gas stations, they are begging for help already. They would join up like that. So in the end, at some point, there would be a county-owned sewer operation out there, public sewer utility, wastewater utility, similar to what you have in Jacobs Creek, but on a much larger scale. And I'm starting to now have those discussions with the decision makers, the commissioners, on what that looks like, how you want to operate it. Do you want to operate it yourself? Do you want to have a third party do it? Now, all those things aren't incredibly relevant today that you make a decision, but at least start the discussion so that when that time comes and you do have to pull the trigger, you know where you're going to land or what you want to do.
Well, don't you have to own property out there first?
That's correct. So, one of the things I'm going to ask the commissioners to do after this CID is incorporated and pinned up and buttoned up and those revenues start rolling in, I'm going to ask the commissioners to use those funds to go get a loan at a bank across the road or whoever, and purchase property and start paying for some of the engineering and other things that are necessary for us to move forward on this CHIPS Act project. But let's take the CHIPS Act project, put it over here to the side. At the end of the day, this revenue has to be spent in that proximity to benefit those people who are collecting that tax. Even in the agreements, I think some of the commissioners said, well, we got to spend money by 2025. That is the intent of that act, the CID, is that those revenues that are created benefit the area where those revenues are generated. So Coffee County does not have an industrial park, and even again, without all this CHIP Act stuff, you still have a project of people who will sign the dotted line and locate out there on that land. And so to acquire land, yes, that's something I'm going to ask the commissioners to do. here soon, not tomorrow, but the attorneys still have a lot of work to do, and commissioners still have a lot more questions and talking to do, but at some point, I'm gonna ask you to exercise those options, using the funds generated from the CID to pay for it all.
Do we have an estimate of what the funds are gonna be on the CID?
I do, but what I would like, again, if, Ms. Angie is one of the only people who has the authority to do so, to ask Department of Revenue for an estimate, just to give the commissioners something from revenue.
Okay.
Now, I've already got the same data, but it'd be nice if it was on letterhead.
Mm-hmm.
If this chip deal goes in, are they would they use that sewer system?
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean, so when you do it and place it, you want it where it benefits both ends of that CID.
Yes, sir. And that we operate it for profit, so that it can continue to serve, just like the water district, serve an expanding footprint. 10 years from now, if somebody else locates out there, they will not have to go through the rigmarole of figuring out how to discharge their waste.
I guess I've never asked this question, so how does Beaver Junction, who supplies their water, is it out of Melbourne, or is it
Wholesale 3.
Wholesale 3?
I mean, Rural 3.
Okay.
So with the sewer district, since it would be the counties, right?
Yes, sir.
And since we own JSB, instead of a holding tank, that could be hooked onto the that sewer system.
Yes, sir.
Save us sucking fees.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. It's got a built-in client base already. I bet you have people sign up left and right. I don't expect the residents to. They put a bunch of money in lagoons. They don't want to, incur an extra expense monthly, but those businesses are definitely. They told us over and over again, we need help. And, it's not the responsibility of the county necessarily to go out and, without having a sewer district in place, to try to help people with their lagoons, but they would be your first customers, for sure.
I guarantee you. I know Eastwood.
Hotel would.
Yes, sir.
I would venture to say the hotel is tied in with the TA. Would be my guess. They probably use the same. I don't know that.
I don't know either.
Same guy owned the boat.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tied together.
Maybe.
All of that on the east side is probably, well, other than Everton,
Yes, sir.
would be tied. I'm positive.
There's also sensitive questions that this conversation at 10:30 on Friday. One of them is the jail project is moving forward. We don't want on a debt level or credit level for there to be any hindrance if the commissioners were to move forward on, per se, buying that land out there using the revenues from the CID. Would that impact the credit quality and the rate that you would get on a bond issue for the jail? So I did ask that question the other day 2 or 3 times from different sources, and even Joe, and he said no, it would not affect, because this entity, the CID, would essentially be the one issuing the debt, not the county. So it'd be off the books debt for the county if you were to make any improvements out at Beto. It would not affect the jail, but we want to. I need Wade to be the leader on that.
The CID district would, for lack of better wording, be self-sustained.
Yeah.
Is the way it appears to me. Is part of the engineering or consulting that's going on, are they looking into the water issue up in that area? And if they're not, what would they need to do to add that to their plate to maybe do that while they're doing the other consulting work to get an idea of what that engineering cost would be?
Excellent question. So I told the commissioners earlier, they had brought up the similar question. We've been dancing a dance, trying to do as much as we can without, spending a bunch of money on engineering and stuff, because, we weren't at that point, but now it's getting over our heads, and it's time to turn it over to engineers. But, this money from the CID, again, can cover all those expenses. It doesn't have to come out of general fund, and it can be used for that. And it is time for those guys to get rolling.
Can you use, because, and maybe you know the answer to this, when will the money start rolling into the CID fund? And then how long will it take for it to accumulate? Because it sounds like this engineering review and recommendation need to occur sooner rather than later. So can you pay the money out of the general fund and then reimburse the general fund later with the CID funds? If that makes sense. I don't know that answer. Maybe that's a Serrano answer.
Yes, that's a great question too. So that's the idea, is that any money that we spend out there, so when the CID gets going, and the attorneys button it up and get it incorporated and filed, it's still gonna be 90 days, 100-something days before the actual funds start coming in. Now, with Angie's request to Department of Revenue, you'll know, you will know what the revenue will be. So you can at that point bank on it, so to speak. And I mentioned procuring a local debt. Because the CID is its own quasi-governmental entity, it can issue debt, and it can hold that debt. So if it walks across the road and borrows money from the local banks, for instance, a consortium of local banks to purchase the land and pay for some engineering, we can estimate what that engineering might be. If it's a couple $100,000, whatever, we borrow that amount of money, and the CID is paying it back, not the county. CID is paying that money back. And we, at some point, whenever we receive federal or state funds, when those funds come available, we can reimburse and pay off that debt that the CID is holding. And so yes.
So the taxpayers won't pay for it.
Correct.
Which I think is key for this room. So that the taxpayers know that the transients who are traveling through up I-35 or on 75, they're the ones paying for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it off the county completely.
And should have been paying for it for the last 40, 50 years.
Yes.
There's been millions of dollars that the county has lost because something like this wasn't in place.
And it's something I didn't even think about, and like I say, in my recent travels, anymore I stop, I get a receipt, I gotta look at it, it's like, holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people never look at the receipt. They
No.
never do when they're buying a
You
candy
gotta spend the
bar.
money.
Right. The thing about it is, it's not gonna be a bit higher than Burlington's.
Nope.
No,
It'll be,
not at all.
it's not gonna be a bit higher.
No.
We did a study up and down the interstate of what the sales tax rate that everybody else is charging, and we will still, even at 8.5%, be the lowest.
Probably 2% low.
That's right.
Yeah. Most of it's 10, 10.5.
Because those change counties, quite a bit higher.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And,
At some time in the future, we decide maybe we wanna kick it up another 1%. How flexible is it, or how, what's it take to get that to happen?
another.
Another long process.
Yeah, that's.
So are we setting it, is it set to what the tax is gonna be up there? It's set now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Unless we go back and get another signature.
Yeah.
It's taking this long to get the first one, let's
Let's
just leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, we need to just leave it,
Well,
cause that's 2% now.
Get the first one in place, and then you can slowly start working on the second one.
Yes, sir.
Well, and your businesses up there in that area is gonna start seeing the benefit of it, and they'll be a little more apt to join or sign the paperwork other than the first groundbreaking ceremony and strong arming and.
Yeah. And that is the intent of this act, the Community Improvement District Act, is the Kansas, when they wrote that thing, It is meant to benefit that area, the people, the businesses within that area, not the people, but the businesses. To make improvements, whether it be street lamps or site improvements, infrastructure, even pay parking lots. But
I'll be glad, well, we're probably projecting what, the first of the year
yes, sir.
on it getting set
Yes, sir.
before it starts rolling, bringing in funds.
Yes, sir.
It's been a long time coming. And it took a lot of work from yourself and Wade and
Everybody.
and Joe and everybody, so.
I wanna say I played a very minimal role. It was mainly Bobby and Joe. I looked at a few things, reviewed them, but they've done the lion's share of the work. So they need all the credit, not me.
Well, whoever did a hell of a job. Took a long time,
Yes,
almost 2 years.
yeah, yes.
Probably will be 2 years.
Huh?
It probably will be 2 years.
It will be by the time it's bringing revenue in.
Yeah.
So,
We should have done it years ago.
But like I say, didn't know about it. The county had plenty of money. Nobody ever thought that there's always room for more.
Yeah.
And what better way to let the people pay it than pass them through our county?
Yeah, let the Sedgwick County people pay.
That's right.
Or Johnson County.
Exactly.
Oh, Johnson County, they're going so fast, they're not gonna be stopping there. Crap, I mean.
They can start applying the brakes in Ottawa.
Sedgwick going the other direction. We need to put a toll gate out there.
So we don't have to have a decision today on start the next steps.
No, sir.
It's just food for thought.
I'm assuming Wade will come back in and advise you next meeting,
Okay.
at some point on the next steps, and you'll be here Monday, right?
Yep. You're doing what I like to call planting seeds.
So one of the things, I discussed with one of the commissioners, Mr. Tom, was that, it's just natural, that the commissioners as a body make the decision. And there's this, built-in just barrier from any individual employee of the county or individual citizen, speaking with individual commissioners about different things, and for there to be action or taken on that, you make the action as a body. So that's why you hold meetings, people come talk to you publicly in front of the taxpayer, so that things are transparent. But one thing that in this instance, in this project, is so overwhelming and could be even beyond what I can even imagine, technical and lots of decisions to be made. If the commission has the time either in a non-quorum environment or work sessions here at this table, that means extra meetings, more hours, but that will become necessary very quickly. If the commissioners can accommodate that, just plan for it.
I've got no problem with afternoon work sessions for any.
I don't either.
Me neither.
And I promise you, I'll try to make it efficient, and I won't waste your time with a bunch of gobbledygook. Only stuff that's important, where I understand there's a level of discretion where any of your department heads can make a decision, but mine's about this tall, and the decisions need to be made are about this big. So that's why, I need to start having more frequent interface with the commission.
I couldn't agree more. I think either a work session throughout the week, but it's easier just to do it Monday, because everybody's got their day off for the most part, and
We can take lunch break, come back,
and
be fresh,
do a work session in the afternoon.
be here till it's needed.
The work sessions are televised as well, are they not? Or recorded?
So
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a work session.
Not really.
Not in my 2 years.
you cover what's
Since I've
on your
been here.
agenda, and then the afternoon is work session.
That would be the best deal, because if you start trying to go other days of the week, other organizations that we deal with have scheduled stuff for other days, and they've been doing that for years because it doesn't conflict with commissioners, because a lot of times these other organizations have more commissioners than just us.
Right.
And so you start conflicting with them if you try to do it other days.
Like I say, I just see with the Joe project going on and this deal up there, these two deals up north, I just see a lot of discussions that need to be going on. And I feel that it's just piling up behind us, and it's gonna overtake us here pretty quick.
And you got budget coming too, I think, if that already, is budget already passed?
Budget's passed, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
But we got the end of the year coming, so you got your holidays coming, that's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
start taking a lot of people's, I can't make it this day, and so
Well,
on
yeah,
and so
you're
forth.
gonna find there's not, once the holidays hit, not much is gonna happen for about a month.
Yeah, exactly. From Thanksgiving to New Year's.
Yep. Right after first year is when they'll just pile it on you.
That's what I'm thinking.
You'll be good, probably be happy about that.
Right, Tim? That's what we're thinking.
So if we can get ahead of the
I'll
holidays,
dedicate my
any and all
time
that
until
would
January
be
3rd.
beneficial, I feel.
Oh, it'd be.
Well, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you for your work on that, Bobby, and we'll see Joe Monday, I guess.
The second.
I guess, I don't know.
Second, we
I think-
won't be,
I think,
Not Joe,
second, we won't be here.
Oh, Saban.
The second, it's the second Monday.
Joe and
No,
Larry's gonna be
second
coming
Monday.
in on the
Alright.
jail
Of the year.
sometime in the next 2, 3, 4
You
weeks.
got me
He
till the
wasn't
ninth.
sure,
Right, the night.
but he said sometime in the near future, we need to all get together and make some decisions on the bond.
That probably needs to be a afternoon work session. That way we don't gotta rush through stuff. If they set up, have them at like 1 o'clock and we can just roll. That way we don't have to rush through the jail stuff and the bond. That's the way I look at it anyway. Instead of meeting oh gosh, we got 9:45 and so on and so forth, just put them at the very end of the day. Then we got all afternoon to discuss it.
well, you had that meeting with them on the phone Friday, Joe. don't you?
Yeah. Is there gonna be a certain call-in number to call into, or?
I'm just gonna do it from my phone.
Okay.
I'll probably go to Wade's office, if you're okay with that, and we'll do it from Wade's office.
Okay.
Call everybody.
Sounds good to me.
Maybe we could set up a Zoom if you want.
Yeah, are you okay with Zoom? Well, you call in on Zoom.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
voice
just
call.
gonna be calling only. That way I can be mobile wherever in the world I'm at. So, I don't know where I'm gonna be come Friday.
That's fair.
If the Mondays keep falling like they have, this is the third one, so. I'm not expecting anything to change.
I know, Larry Goldberg's been working behind the scenes on finalizing the designs for, each of the areas. So, the court side was one of the last revisions that needed to be made, and then he was gonna send his plans to have blueprints made. But, along the way, and the change order idea, which we've probably talked about ad nauseum at this point, but change orders are gonna occur, because you can't put everything on paper, and when you get to ground zero, so to speak, you're gonna see things in line of sight that, that needs to be put in this place. And I think Tom probably is the best one to say that happens on a regular basis in projects. So one of the things when I went to Lynn County, to putting insulation in the bathrooms, so that if I go to the bathroom and I'm across the hall, you don't hear me using the bathroom, which I don't think anybody wants to hear anybody using the bathroom, and that needs to be handled up front instead of waiting until after the fact and you're too late. So those type of things are just gonna happen, they're gonna occur. But hopefully those blueprints will be out soon, and that's what Larry will bring with him. And then you're down to the nitty gritty, and things start ramping up pretty quickly. So
Jesse just brought up a question, maybe you got the answer to it, Wade. I'm on a Southeast Kansas board, unless I'm sitting in that meeting at that board, if I call in, I have to be in Coffee County. If I'm outside of Coffee County, my vote doesn't count. Is that right? Because I'm not in the jurisdiction that I represent.
I'd have to look into that, and I don't know.
A commissioner from Lebec County who's been commissioner for almost 40 years says that's the way that works. Because I know we've had call-ins before, and the first question asked is, where are you at?
I'll have to look into that.
Just not,
If be in that county at the time you vote or
that
whatever.
you count at the time of the meeting, be a part of the meeting, and if there's some voting going on, you have to be in that county. The jurisdiction that you represent, in other words, Coffee County.
So if he's on vacation out of the county, you couldn't,
You can't vote.
you could listen, but you couldn't vote.
Listen, but you can't vote.
I've never heard of anything like
I've
that.
never either.
I will look into
We've
it.
been using that, Kansas Works for years, and that's the way when I got on there, that's the way it was.
I would be guilty.
Yeah, last year I was in West Texas.
So I don't know, I just, when he just said wherever he might be, it just dawned on me. Of course, the meeting that he's talking about for Friday, it's not, but if it was the commission doing it, something,
It's wild.
to me, it makes sense.
We're in a new world now too, though,
And COVID may have changed that.
because we're handling multiple things with court, which I think is about as official as it gets, and it's by Zoom. And if you can have a trial by Zoom and somebody is in another state, if you can swear someone in to testify in another state, then they can testify in Coffee County and they can be in Houston, Texas.
What they always told me on this, I had to be in Coffee Line or Greenwood County, because I represent Coffee Line and Greenwood on this board.
Sure. So I'll look into it. That's a
Just a
good
question,
question. I don't
just
have
dawned
the
on,
answer.
just came to me when Jesse said that, I thought, whether that's for legal or not, I don't know. And it may just been something that somebody created for that deal a long time ago, and they just always gone by.
So then it would come down to, if somebody is on the phone, where, before we start, where are you? So we can make sure that you're.
That's the question they always ask, is because, I was always at the meeting, but when we had some who called in, first question they ask is, where are you? And during COVID, we had some call-in deals. I would come in and use this phone, and I know that a couple of other commissioners would go to their courthouse to call in.
That way it registered, call in, coming from this number. You can prove where you was at that time.
Yeah, I guess, so, I don't know. It may have just been something somebody created years ago.
Wow. Wow. No matter where you're at, you're gonna make the best decision for the area that you represent.
Exactly, that's right.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. It blows my mind, but, hey. So you got anything else for us, Wade?
I mentioned earlier the drug policy. I don't think, completely overriding it right now is what needs to happen until there's more information. I think it needs to be looked into a little more in detail. And, I don't want there to be a knee-jerk reaction based on what's currently happening. So my suggestion is that outside of those that are required by insurance to be randomly tested, so your DOT and your critical people, which I think would be law enforcement, and I know Tom wants a definition on who those people are, which we'll get. You suspend everything else for the time being, and hopefully that will, if Andrea can contact Compliance One, say that's what's being done temporarily, then maybe that will help change or modify the cost to the county. I would assume it would, but I don't know. And then, at that point, revisit it in the next, several weeks or 30 days.
Since this is what we've always been doing, why don't we just continue the way we're doing until there is a change, instead of making a change and then making another change?
I think what you're gonna see happen is, if it's not evenly applied across the board, you're gonna have, you have 101 pulled in right now, you're gonna have, that number's gonna go less and less and less. So,
But I mean, I'm just talking for right now,
I
until you get
understand.
something done, and then make one change, and that becomes it, instead of making a change now and then making another change later.
I don't think there's, I think suspending isn't making a change, it's just suspending that part of it for temporarily. And if it goes back live, then it goes back live, but
And it doesn't matter, I guess it doesn't really matter to me, I just was, why?
So we need a motion to suspend.
unless there's discussion, I mean, it sounds like there may need to be some discussion, some more discussion on that.
I just hear mixed on, like Jeff Byers said he was fine with it the way it was, didn't matter to him. I've heard people say it's not fair, everybody should have to do it, it's in the policy. I mean, I've heard it all, so I'm either way.
Well, until the
It's
policy,
whatever.
until the policy gets, until we have a new, I don't know what to say,
Handbook.
until we have a new handbook. It's black and white.
So Christina will be here on October 24th, isn't it?
Yeah, she's here on the 24th.
So, I mean, at least until then, but if we're going into the next
Quarter.
quarter, then let's say day 2 of the quarter, Andrea gets the list, we're right back to where we started. And
So what's wrong with being right back where we started for another quarter? I mean, we've been this way for years. I mean, to me, the commission made a lot of knee-jerk decisions throughout time, and then you turn around and we're changing it 2 or 3 weeks later for something else, and that's one of the biggest complaints I hear from the public, is, you gotta make changes, and you make changes, and then you do this, and you do that. So why don't we just get all of our ducks in a row, make one change, and that's the way it's gonna be. I mean, if we need to study on it, listen to Christina's report on it and stuff.
I think it needs to be looked into a little bit more in detail. The issue though is, it's not evenly applied across the board, and that's the concern. And I get elected official, non-elected official, I know, I've researched and reviewed Nylander, I mean, I've got a binder full of Nylander, articles in the wake of that decision. So I completely get it. But the problem is, if it's not evenly applied across the board, which is what I've been pushing for and everything I've done since I got here, then why is everybody in the county attorney's office a part of that program? Why is everybody in the sheriff's department, other than those that have to be a part of it, are they being randomly tested? And the pros and the cons. So we dealt with this issue several years ago with the pay, and can an elected official come in and say, I want the employees in this department to be paid X, Y, and Z, and the commission says, well, there's a pay policy that you have to follow, and the next step chronologically is to go from a 1 to a 2. And that person says, well, I want them to go to a 7 because I'm an elected official and I can do it. I don't agree with that type of thing. That if a non-department head can't do that, then why can an elected official? Because that's internal equity across the board for every employee. I mean, but Nylander has this tricky spin on things, and you're sort of,
Does anybody really understand Nylander?
No.
I've heard so
I don't
many
think
different,
Nylander can
I've
understand
heard
that.
so many sides of it
I know.
throughout time.
I think Nylander's pretty clear on several things. The statute says for those elected officials, you can hire, and you can fire, and you can promote. I think there's, hire and fire is pretty self-explanatory, and there's not anything that the board can do about that, because every elected official and the board, when they're as a whole, are co-equal with each other. So hiring and firing, it's pretty well settled. Promotion, I think there's, depends on who you talk to. I think there's some discussion that can be had about what promotion is, but there is nothing that's out there that's settled, definition-wise, in my opinion. Outside of that, Nylander is subject to AG opinions and legal interpretation. So if the word "is" can be defined multiple different ways, and then the word, there's case law out there that says the word "shall." When you hear the word "shall," what do you think that means? It has to happen. But in certain instances, the word "shall" is directory, not mandatory, which makes it maybe somewhere between a "shall" and the word "may," and that's just.
Starts getting gray, then.
Oh, it's foggy gray.
It's a gray from beginning one.
So
There's no way to get everything on a level playing field where everybody's a team player or team leaders.
And can I
I don't-
add, like, if we continue with the randoms the next quarter, the sheriff wanted to find out who he could remove from that list, if we're gonna continue it, and because there hasn't been a decision made, we haven't had the opportunity to find out legally who from his department could be pulled from that list. So we might have people show up on the list that he would have wanted taken off of it, so we haven't had a chance to legally look into who he could have removed.
Right.
I'd say let's put it on hold, is my opinion.
Sounds like more discovery needs to be done.
So if you do what you suggested, it only becomes for CDL drivers, is that what you're saying?
CDL and those who are safety sensitive, that's what definition that.
And reasonable doubts, right?
Well,
So,
no, reasonable suspicion is at any point in time. So if I walk in, or one of the employees in the county attorney's walks in and they smell like I have reasonable suspicion to believe they're under the influence of alcohol, then I can request they take a test.
and then if they're not, then are you looking at a lawsuit?
I think as long as I can articulate what my reason is, and I can't just pick on somebody.
That's what you're gonna end up with, is people say, oh, they're just picking on me.
I think that
Especially if they come back negative.
Right.
people have to be wise and smart. We have people take PBTs in the courtroom all the time when they come in, and there's reason to believe they're under the influence. And the majority of the time, it's confirmed. So you have to be smart about it. If I come in and my eyes are like saucers, then there's probably something going on. I either have a medical condition, I'm under the influence of some sort of opioid, and should I be here doing work? I may have a valid prescription. There may be concerns. It may be confirmed that I have a valid prescription and I took the intended dose, but you can still have reasonable suspicion. It just can't be, that cannot be taken advantage of.
That's the key.
And is there a situation where somebody has asked for somebody to take a test under the reasonable suspicion standard and it has become a problem? I'm not aware of it since I've been here. I'm not aware of it historically, and maybe nobody has ever been asked to do it. But that time may come. And as a county, it's important that when that time and situation occurs, that it's handled the right way. And if somebody needs to take a test, then they need to take a test. Now, the question will be, if you have an elected official and somebody is under the influence and they don't agree with the drug testing policy, will they make that request? Because ultimately, and I'll use the county attorney as an example, it's the county that will be sued and responsible, not the elected official.
So that's where I get confused as to why, if you have a countywide handbook policy, that people can just say, I'm an elected official, I don't have to worry about that, it's none of my business.
Well, that's where I think Nylander gets blurry.
That's where
I think, you know, the Nylander is the sword and the shield at the same time. And where that line is, I think it's still subject to debate on certain issues. Now, I agree with the elected official, and the elected official elected officials have a role and a purpose, and I think I talked about that the other day. It's where that line is, I don't know. There's state appellate opinion and federal opinions that have sort of ferreted out and distinguished Nylander and what it means for an elected official. So years ago, when the Johnson County District Attorney went into office and fired all the assistant county attorneys in that office, and they, if I recall, they sued the prosecutor, the elected prosecutor, and there wasn't anything they could do because the ability to hire and fire was within the discretion of that elected official. So it needs to be, I think you could probably have an entire one-day workshop on Nylander and what it means. I've been to a number of trainings where the Nylander is the topic, and where are we today with Nylander? And all the basics are obvious. What we know and what we can say as far as what Nylander means and what you can and can't do as an elected official, I think the basics everybody knows. It's where you get into the weeds and what in theory does this mean once you get several steps out. That's where it's.
That's for the courts to figure it out.
Well, but that means then you have somebody, either a board of county commissioners suing an elected official suing the board of county commissioners. And that is not a good look for any county.
But that's the only way you're gonna get the result.
I would never encourage that.
No, I agree 100%, but so you never touch the buffer zone of Nylander.
But internally, you want
Everybody's
to be.
afraid to touch the buffer
Yeah.
zone.
Internally,
what
you
he
want
said.
everybody to coexist together and to figure out a way to make it work. Because if you're having pissing matches with each other, then that's not productive, and that puts your county on the map for attention that you don't want to have. You want, for this county, we want the good things that are being done, the growth, the prosperity, what Bobby's doing with the CID. Those are positive things for Coffee County. That's what you want to end up in the spotlight and on the news instead of the negative. Remember the last time we had something go south here when we had our county health director step down, and we end up in the New York Post or whatever it was, about how Coffee County doesn't care about
COVID.
and people who are sick. And that's not what you want. So,
So if you suggest we suspend it for now, then I'll make that motion to suspend it for now.
and you could still do
Maybe we
the
could
same
still-
thing and wait until next week if you want, or the week after, as long as if the list comes out and it has people, and if you suspend the program, then those people that are not required will just be taken off the list, right?
So when we get the list,
They'll just be crossed out.
only use the DOT and the.
But you'll be charged for the ones that are on the list.
Sure.
And we're paying for the maintenance of the everything, so I mean, I don't think it's gonna be anything significant if they, cost-wise for.
Well, I guess I'm thick-headed, but you haven't explained to me yet why it would hurt to wait. I mean,
He's not making changes, he's just asking to suspend it for now.
to suspend it, not do away with it, that's a change.
We're not doing away with it.
We're doing away with some of the things.
If
Some of
we,
it,
if we suspend it though, we're doing away with
we're
it.
doing away with it, that's exactly right.
My thought, that's why I was gonna, if we do suspend it, what the ultimate results is, we don't have a policy in place for a time.
Well, the policy will still be in place, it will just be suspended. If you do away with it,
Suspend the testing part of it.
you need to come up with a new policy to replace it. We don't even have that. So if you completely wipe it out, then what's in effect? Because it's all married together within the policy manual. And if it's married together, then you go ahead and take it away, then what do you have? And I don't think you can piecemeal it.
So if you continue with what you got, that gives you 3 months to come up with a new policy that will become the policy.
I can't dispute that. I just wanted more time to look into it.
And that would give more time.
Sure. So then the question will come later on down the road, once October 1 comes around, which is several days away, and the new list comes out. If that gets sent, I mean, historically, how long into the quarter has it been for you to receive, or is it just random?
When we actually receive the list,
Right.
the first, I think, is on a Saturday, I'll have it Monday.
Okay. So,
See, to me, they're not even doing that correctly.
well,
Cause she already knows she's gonna have it Monday.
yeah.
And that tells me the drug consortium place is not being, they're being timed. They're being this day, when it should be a week, 2 weeks,
Well,
maybe even 3 weeks into the quarter before they send it out, or even a month into the quarter. That's the whole thing about random.
Well, I would agree with that. I don't understand, other than pushing the button and
Why
the
not
name showing
December?
up randomly.
You've gotta give time to screen so many people.
Yeah.
So, but when, and nothing towards Andrea, nothing towards the other person that handles it. When they can sit here and go, yep, I'll have it Monday,
Yeah.
that is not random.
The list is random.
The list is random, but it still should be random before it's set. So you've got people, and I'm not saying they're doing it, but you could have people in the county going, oh crap, we're getting the list Monday. We better not go party this weekend, or we better start doing something.
You'd think there'd be more variable to that.
To
Per
when the
month,
list comes
yeah.
out to our enforcers.
But,
Yeah.
but then you are told later when that day will be. So although you get the list on a Monday, the random test, you're not notified until,
Right, 'cause we have to work with the company to agree on a date, because like, they're working with so many other companies too, it's not just us, we
Right.
have to work around their schedule, they're working around ours.
I agree 100% on that, but you should not be able to tell me that you're gonna have the list Monday.
Random shouldn't have to deal with our schedule. Random should be come in, they say, we're doing this drug test today.
To be
and-
true random.
and when you're here, that's random.
Yeah, to be true random. See, I don't even know when my list is gonna come out from my company. I don't have an idea. It might be next week, it might be 2 weeks from now, it might be the 1st of November. I don't know.
But then if we didn't know when they were coming and Kenny and I are the only representatives, they
Mhm.
show up, I'm on vacation, Kenny's tied up, they come out here, they've got no county representatives because they just showed up. Well, now they're gonna have to just go home and come back another, I mean, there's got to be some coordination for.
Right, no, and I agree 100% with that, I do. What I don't have a problem the way it's been administered in-house. I just have a problem with it, we all heard, I'll have it Monday.
But then it's my job that's on the line, so nobody would come to me and say, hey, can you tell me if I'm on the list or not? Because then, I mean, I tell somebody if they're on the list or not, and then it's my job, I'm fired because,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, you let somebody know,
Right.
you know, and it's you and what, Kenny, right?
Right, so
You
yeah, I mean,
know,
I don't
so-
think anybody's willing to risk their job to ask me or for me to tell them,
Right,
so I don't
right.
see that.
Well, and that's the whole part of random.
But you had an open discussion with Compliance One to set the date up for the testing, correct?
But still.
And you don't notify those employees till that morning.
Correct.
Right. It's a surprise to the employees.
It's not a surprise to the county.
It's a surprise to the employees, but it's not a surprise to the county. Does that make sense? If that makes any sense at all?
Well, yeah, to the only two people who would know
Right,
would be,
right.
Is it usually the month that the list comes out though?
that is so that nobody can say, okay, well, if you're getting a list on Monday, we should expect it in a couple weeks. That should be more random so that nobody knows that, okay, what list comes out today. So there's got to be some random timing to that. So that, yeah, people don't want to start establishing a pattern, because then it's not, okay, well, like I said, if they know the list comes out Monday, we do random testing, well, they're good for the year, because there goes the quarter. So, I mean, there's got to be more of a,
You got enough people, and they alternate the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever. Because if you got, right now, they know it's coming out Monday, they can take every Monday off for the rest of the quarter, as much vacation as some of the people have. And then they never get tested.
I thought they must always do it on Mondays, because Mondays is when we always go. I've never been called.
Has there been a different day other than,
quite a
well,
few times, yeah.
other than when we had the holiday?
Mhm.
That was a Wednesday, I think it was.
Oh.
In fact, it's a different date quite often, so yeah, if somebody doesn't happen to be here, we can't, like, say, then we
Right.
can't use them, so.
Right.
You still suggest suspending it?
How is it? We're always been called on Mondays.
I think with the understanding that if the list comes out and a decision's made, you can suspend midterm. I don't think, the only issue will be, will the cost change? And we don't know that answer, so if we don't know what that answer is, maybe for right now, there's 1 quarter left, and I don't know if you can change it midstream. I don't know what that agreement says. I haven't looked at it. So the issue for me is if you suspend non-DOT, you can do that midstream, then I think it's fine. It just needs to be done probably by the 24th, so when Christine is here, that issue is resolved as well. Because that whole policy is gonna have to be revamped and revised if it's gonna change.
If we're gonna suspend, we need to suspend today,
Mhm.
so they can pull the non-DOT off of the list before October 1.
And that's something I could get with Kenny, because we can make people inactive if they're no longer here, so that's something we could do.
You leave their name on the list and just inactive everybody that's non-DOT, and then they'll just run the random
For the
pick
people who are
for the-
considered active in, like,
critical and DOT.
But we do need to know, for Tom's purposes, the definition of critical. So we'll get that figured out.
That would be through the insurance, would it not?
no, insurance recommended, they gave me a contact of who, because they didn't wanna legally say who.
They didn't want to say
Okay.
it was critical. Okay.
Based on the contract, if we got the right to suspend it this late in the new
We could
quarter.
take, yeah, cause the non-DOTs are only on there because we chose to put them on there, so I mean, that's not their requirement, so, I mean, that's just a matter of us.
Well, do you know whether the price will be the same?
I don't think it's gonna be that significant of a savings to take them off. I mean, I don't think financially it's gonna be a big cut to take them off. I don't think that's a,
So we don't know whether the price is gonna be changed, we don't know, Tom doesn't know what's gonna be critical and what's not. But yet we wanna vote on this today when we don't have all the information.
I think your, concerns are fair.
Even if we don't do it the rest of the quarter, I don't think it's today's decision, because we don't have all the information.
Even though a random list comes out, we would only have to administer the critical and the DOT to stay in guidelines with the consortium group.
and that doesn't happen.
So if we stay as we are, and October 1st runs in, and they pull the random picks, the administrators for the county could not administer the DOT or the drug screen for non-DOT or critical.
So the next thing is, we have an agreement with them that they're gonna do so many, and they're charging, say, $60 a person. If we cut it down where they're only gonna come in and do a third of the people, are they gonna jack their prices? Because they're coming down and they're not gonna make as much money for their time and effort.
They already increased their prices 10% across the board, this past
You said
year.
it was, what'd you say, it was $700 something?
We're gonna be cutting their number though, so they might wanna increase it more.
And that shouldn't affect that because it's a per person test rate for what we get charged for.
But we're
It's the
guaranteeing them
amount.
so many people basically, where we're gonna be guaranteeing them a lot less people.
I wanna hear your reason for suspending it one more time. Or your thoughts, I should say, not reason.
The issue is it's not evenly applied across the board.
And I make a motion to suspend it.
Motion by Tom to suspend non-DOT,
And I'd say temporarily.
temporary suspend non-DOT random drug screening for the county employees. And non-DOT or non-critical. That would cover the sheriff's office as well.
But the issue then is,
We have to
maybe
find
we need to
critical.
It is critical.
we need to get Tom up here and so he can indicate
Who's in the critical?
who will be, I mean, I don't think he knows the full definition of that, because does that include his jailers? I'd assume it doesn't include his administrative staff.
I would say it'd be your
Law
staff.
enforcement.
I'd say it'd be your clerical staff, dispatch.
So I think as you make this decision, and maybe as a part of the discussion, you get Tom up here, so he
So that's
can,
what he asked me to find out.
yeah, for right now, he needs to be on the same page, so.
So we don't need to make a motion today to suspend. Or we need to bring Tom up.
I think you bring Tom up, because if it includes those who are critical, we need to know who's critical ahead of time, because if those people are part of the random and they're not critical, then you're sort of in this.
I can't tell him who in his department's
Wouldn't you
critical or
want
not.
wouldn't you just, I think, you said
You're
dispatch,
elected
wouldn't you want
officials.
dispatch
Well, no, it's
to
not
not
that.
be under the influence?
But they may not fit the definition of critical.
Well, to me, dispatch very critical if they're giving you information in an emergency.
I understand that, so that's why having
Yeah.
that person on the same page is.
Tom may not
You
know
can take
who
that
it
to
is.
any office and it's,
Well, yes, you could, but they're in an emergency. When you call 911, that's an emergency usually.
I would venture to say anybody underneath the sheriff's
I don't know, that's Tom's
sheriff's
decision.
payroll would be critical possibly.
Tom may not know exactly what boys even fall
Well,
under.
that's why he had Andrea, and
Yeah,
he's got Andrea trying to find out who would be
Yeah.
considered critical.
Well, why can't we leave them out of the motion then? I mean.
We just do all
maybe I
non-DOT for county employees.
And he can pick and choose who's critical to him and who ain't.
Sheriff's office, I mean, they're their own.
Except for those who are required. If they're not required, he's not gonna have them do it. So then, how do you determine who's required and who's not?
I got a good idea, that's up to him.
You put the motion together. You give me the motion, and we'll vote on it. How's that?
Or I'll just rescind my, right now, and we'll wait till, just continue on as is. And we'll talk about it more later, but,
I think we need to.
I mean,
talk
I
about
agree
it.
with Wade's statement, it's just not, it's not equally applied, then, I mean,
Well, I think that's some of the frustration there, is like trying to find out who in the sheriff's office could be removed, because, yeah, he's got several people who get called up every time.
and that's where I go back to, I mean, only he can make that decision, now we can't.
But he's got alternates too, as well, does he not?
Right,
And
and
so the less people he has in the pool is going to be the less people pulled
Right.
and the less alternate capability he has.
And so it's a-
So I would think it'd be in his best benefit, I would see it as a benefit to him to have everybody underneath his command be on it as critical, because if you've got Bill or Frank or somebody that's gone to a school somewhere, and drug screens come up, you might not have enough alternates.
But because it's not equally
But it's not
pooled,
DOT,
Right.
but again, it's not DOT, so it's not mandatory. Is it or is it not?
Well, and that's why we have to find out who legally isn't required from that, because that's his request, was that since it's not being pulled equally, if he wants to pull who he can out too, then since,
It's more of a
Clear as mud.
I just got a laugh, I'm
The
sorry.
mud's getting thicker all the time.
It's ludicrous that you can have a countywide policy book and people can opt not to abide by it. So,
I'm looking
Well, and my question goes back, Wade, maybe you didn't hear it the other day. Tim asked, say I'm an elected official in the office and I wanna hire Billy or Susie, but one of the requirements is a pre-employment drug screen. Can I opt that individual out from a pre-employment drug screen because I'm an elected official?
I don't, see, that's where that line gets blurred, because I
I know.
don't think he can.
when you said, Tom, that's an insurance requirement, so if that's an insurance requirement and they acted out, how that would affect our insurance, then that.
Insurance, for vehicle insurance?
Or is that the liability ones, we have to do insurance-wise pre-employment? So if you opted out of a pre-employment, that's not something we're doing because we choose to, that's an insurance requirement.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it might be some, I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Insurance requires pre-employment and post-accident.
yeah, you're correct.
Okay, very good.
Right. Still about as clear as mud.
I was just trying to get us to take it to a vote, whether you want to suspend it or not, and if Tom, or the sheriff's department's gotta make the call of who's critical and who's not, who he's pulling, I mean, that's up to him. I mean, I can't walk over to Tom and say, well, I think anybody carrying a gun is critical. I mean, which I guess it would be, but, I mean, that goes clear to your jailers, I mean, it's office personnel would be the only ones that would not be critical,
Well, I don't know, I mean,
in my opinion, but I can't make it, I mean, I can't tell him that's the way he's gotta go.
but your jail staff, they don't carry a gun, dispatchers don't carry a gun. What about what they do would require a drug test? And that's the issue.
The handling of jail occupiers, or people. Inmates.
So you have reasonable suspicion,
Well, that's true.
which you have for any of those positions. The liability that you have for, on the DOT side, as you know, is completely different, but the liability for law enforcement to be out and under the influence and carry a gun and fly through the county with, on emergency calls, I think that's where that liability
We're
comes.
sitting here debating this, it's pretty obvious to me that we don't have all the information we need to make a decision. Or we wouldn't be debating it now, we've been doing it for 30 minutes.
I'm not sure we got all the right questions at times.
And when that list comes out Monday, I don't have to do anything with it Monday, so.
You can just hold on to it and not act on it.
Well, that's what you do.
That's what we'll do anyway, they won't act on
When
it
you,
until.
when you suspend it, that's what you're doing anyway. Till Tom figures out who's critical to him and who he wants to have drug tested to go back in his pool of essentials, if you will, DOTs and criticals. All you're doing is suspending it, you're not stopping it. You're not stopping it.
So
And see, we don't act on it.
let's hang tight and
Get tight for half a second.
Yeah, I didn't go anywhere anyway.
this, the idea to suspend may
Yeah.
resurface in the very near future. How about that?
Alright.
I will tell you, unless somebody can give me a good reason why should the staff in the county attorney's office not be removed from the policy, or from testing? I mean, I understand things continue on as they are, but now we're in this.
But you can remove them, you're an elected official, you
I
can
can.
remove them.
Well, I'm an elected official, I'm gonna make a motion that we remove everybody that's not DOT in the courthouse, how's that?
I mean, I'm just asking because
You
that's
have
the,
Majority vote to do it.
If I get two of you convinced that everybody in the courthouse, they're not on drugs, so we'll just pull them off the list.
You don't know that.
How do I not know that? I trust they're not on drugs.
We're talking the county, we're not talking just this courthouse. Because then if you start talking just the courthouse, then you're discriminating against the other people in the county.
Well, but everybody else outside the courthouse basically carries a DOT,
Not everybody.
except for maybe hazardous waste, and then I'll just make a motion to take them out too. Sorry to be ridiculous about it, but it's getting ridiculous to me.
it's a slippery slope, so I think, although it may seem unproductive, it's good to have these discussions because
It is.
it sort of, puts the issue out in the forefront, so it can be constructively discussed, and it's good to have opposing viewpoints, for, against, and somewhere in between, because that's the only way you get anything done. And if everybody were all had the same opinion, we'd all be on the cliff and following the first person to jump off. We're not lemmings, we're not.
My statement would be, how we do it, fair.
Well, I mean, you know, after the debate and after the talk and so on and so forth, you know, you got your pre-employment, you got your post-accident. You know, that's all we're required to do by insurance. You know, I always like to slide a little more on the extra cautious side,
I do too.
personally, because I feel there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
So I like to throw in, if you're driving a county vehicle, you should be on the random drug screening policy. But that's unfair, that's not easily policed, I guess I should say. So in that case, it'd have to be everybody, or you can't drive a county vehicle. Well, and then you fall back into the fire department,
Yeah.
you know, they're driving county vehicles,
They're doing
high
it too.
speed, you know, and, so, you know, it just keeps on snowballing and snowballing, so, you do the minimum required, hope nothing ever happens, and go that route. I always lay on the extra cautious side, so. That's my 2 cents.
Sounds like we have something else to talk about Monday.
Sounds like we've got our first afternoon
Work
work
session.
session.
That was supposed to be after. dinner recess.
It's supposed to be.
That's for,
Oh, we got. All right, switch my calendar.
If you really want to switch, I guess you can go to, make the airport people, they have to have drug test license, everything needs. The county vehicles.
FCC or
Probably requires it.
FAA requires, theirs is different, theirs is
Probably.
monthly? The lady said.
You have to have physicals, yeah.
You have to have physical every year.
You physical every year, and I
Not
think
twice
there's,
a year.
I think their drug screen monthly.
What happens when you're a volunteer? Now, do you have pre-employment or, and the volunteer fire department?
we did when we had a physical for the insurance. So that was,
Do you have a drug screening on the volunteer side for the
I'm not sure
driver?
how, no, because I'm not sure how that would work, because like I say, even here, somebody has to be present and on duty, and if you're, the only way to get a volunteer would be when somebody was to show up to a call, so then it would be the reasonable suspicion, but otherwise, when they're on their off time, they're off. So, I mean, you couldn't PDT somebody on their off time because you can't hear. So, I mean, as far as
Even though it's called volunteer, they still get paid for.
Yeah,
per call.
so therefore, when there a pre-employment drug screening?
Technically, they're not, probably not employed, but
But
they
they
get
would get
paid,
paid.
they get paid per meeting.
Hate to throw that underneath out, but,
They've got retirement,
yeah.
don't mean they have health insurance,
No,
there's no health insurance, but they get retirement.
we have a
And
pretty
life insurance.
thorough
And life
physical for the life insurance.
Are they different than a pre-enrollment?
Yeah, and I don't think the fire department, I don't think they do a pre-employment drug screen, because there's no employment.
Oh.
Volunteer, paid volunteer. I was on it for a long, long time. Long, long time. Too long.
So that life insurance physical is pretty thorough with,
Mm-hmm.
they check for everything.
Mobility, yeah.
So I'll pull us off, center,
Okay.
Thanks.
talk about something else.
Okay.
So I've been, the county siren acquisition from Wolf Creek. I need to get with Amber about where we are with getting all their documentation, but I wanted to know from the insurance side, what that would do for the county and how that would impact the county, if it would increase the premiums. We're talking about 15 sirens or something like that. And they indicated if Wolf Creek had been maintaining them and all the documentation is there to show that they've had routine maintenance, they're not, if there's no issues with them, then it wouldn't create a problem for the county. But they did say if the county wants to insure the poles, the hardware, and the sirens itself, that's a different story. And they'll need a list of the locations and the make, manufacturer, model, how old they are, that type of thing, and then they get the county a quote. So that's where we are with that. I know when I talked to the Wolf Creek representative, they were wanting to try to get something done and transition those sirens over. I think it was sometime in October. So guess what? October's here.
Yeah. Do we really need all the sirens? Wood Creek had them because they had to have them within their 10 miles. But do we, as a county, really need all those sirens? We don't have sirens out in the middle of the public. I mean, we have a ton of them.
I'd say for all your towns.
what happened there, but, I mean,
then they just go off grid.
Talma is unincorporated. All Summit is unincorporated. I'm just asking. And then if one of the sirens doesn't work, is the county liable?
Well, that's what this, so as long as all these protective measures are put in place and you have the logs, the maintenance logs, and they've been upkept, if there were an issue and stuff happens, then the county would be in a good position on the insurance side of things. That was my concern. My concern was the county takes responsibility for these sirens, and let's say you have a Greensburg issue and somebody was relying on the siren didn't go off, what would be the county's exposure? That was my worst case scenario question. And at least from what I understand, the county's responsibility, as long as they're properly maintained, is, I think it's
Are we taking them over for other things besides Wolf Creek? Because that's all Wolf Creek's gotten for right now is Wolf Creek. So are we taking them over for anything else that might happen?
I'm not sure, do they go off when, are they the?
They go off on a fire call.
The fire?
No, they don't. No, they don't. It's just the whatever fire station is where they go off.
Waverly does.
If there's a fire in
If there's
your
a fire in
town.
Waverly.
Yeah, yeah.
But if all 11 of them in the county don't go off.
No.
Correct.
No, it's just
That's
for
what I'm
your
saying.
town.
Are we gonna just,
But if it's, are they each location, so it's location specific, so if that siren goes off, are these sirens that go off for that location? And it may be, we get Amber involved in this conversation because she deals with that side of things too, and maybe Tom as well. I don't know of the 15 sirens, which ones go off and when. Are there separate sirens? Are they all integrated together?
they don't all go off at one time
Sure.
per Wolf Creek situation, they should all go off at one time.
But if there's
That's the purpose.
if there's a tornado coming through, is it only, and there's a warning that goes, the sirens go off? And if they go off, which sirens?
Whichever community decides to do it.
Sure. So those are questions
Dispatch sets the siren off. If there's a tornado bearing down on New Strawn or Lebo or Burlington, the storm spotters are gonna tell dispatch to blow the siren in whatever town is being affected.
and is it one of these 15 sirens?
It is only the siren for a tornado warning in the affected area.
Yeah, just in that affected area, yes.
Is there an ability to make the siren sound different from the fire versus tornado? They sound so similar. One warbles, one is a straight, but they're so similar in sound that there's a way, because people say, why is the fire siren going off, or why is a tornado when it's one or the other, because they sound so.
The answer they told us was no. That's why they had to change, actually the fire siren, they changed it because the sirens weren't capable of doing what the old fire siren sounded. When we got these new sirens, that's what they told us at that time. That's why it was changed.
Well, and I think Burlington, I don't know, Lebo used to go off at noon and.
But Burlington siren goes off at noon is a different siren than these. It has nothing to do with these other
Doesn't have
sirens.
nothing to do with the
Yeah.
Wolf Creek siren.
It has nothing to do with them.
Dispatch does not set that noon, in the 8 o'clock noon.
Lebo used to go off at 8 o'clock, noon. They go off all the time.
Hank Lero just never has been nothing besides noon only.
Noon or
I wonder why
fire.
they always
Or
have
fire or tornado.
the importance of a noon siren. I wonder what always was the importance of a noon siren.
People who don't have a watch know it's time to go eat.
Yes.
Speaking of time to go eat.
So I just need to get with Amber and see where that paperwork is and see if it's come in. Because the idea was to put together resolution and they're selling them to the county for $1 or $10 a piece or something like that. So your call on how you wanna do it, but that's what's moving behind the scenes, and I wanted to understand the liability side for the county.
I would say only in the towns that are not unincorporated.
Well, like, we only got 1 or 2 people there.
Yeah.
But Wood Creek has to do that, had to do that stuff, they're regulated.
I think it's a good conversation to have with Amber here, because she may have a different perspective from the emergency management side.
And it might be kinda like Wayne, once you had it in that spot, you always gotta have it in that spot, kinda like a sign. Once you put it there, you gotta keep it there. And there might be something towards that on the sirens.
I'll get with Amber, see when she can get on the agenda, and we can have the continuation of this conversation. But I wanted to bring it up, because it's sort of moving behind the scenes as well.
Another thing that's coming down the pipeline very quick. Like a little.
Monday afternoon's gonna be a good work session.
It is, it's gonna be one of the first ones.
Can't get
Monday's
Tim
gonna be a
out
long
of
day.
this complete,
Yeah, I know it.
drag him into something.
We're gonna drag them
Going.
drag them through the ringer the last couple months.
Yeah.
I never got vacation.
Are you good?
That's enough for today.
That's enough for today, 'cause my head's starting to hurt. Anybody got anything for roundtable before we?
I do have a couple of items.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, great. Fire away, Andy.
Okay, so I forgot the other day to give you the pricing on those time clock. I forgot to highlight them for you, so I just put a
Oh, okay.
little pricing sheet together for you. And then, I found out yesterday what was going on with our insurance, what some employees were having issues. Benefit management discovered some of the prescription files that aired out causing prescription claims cannot apply to the member's deductible. Then they've turned around and loaded the file successfully today, which was yesterday, and an updated accumulator file will go to Elixir yesterday. It should update in the Elixir system overnight. So I think we're getting everything cleared up. If you have any employees that have issues, send them our way, but I think we've got this all cleared up now, and deductibles are correct, so.
Flying right now.
Yeah, so we've, and then some people have talked to other people, and some of them have not met their deductible, so they think they have the same problem when they don't. They just haven't met their deductible, because everybody gets to talking, and,
Oh, yeah.
so anyway, there's a couple left that we're working on, but I think basically we have all those taken care of. And I don't think, yeah, that's all I had.
All right, I didn't mind talking during that.
Tom, we got anything? Bob, you still saving?
Right now.
Don?
Angie, when do we need to make a decision on the
Well,
5 o'clock deal?
I've got
The only contract we got, or the only deal is from Randy, which is the first one, but Raycon and Time Clock Plus, we don't have any documents on it.
didn't I give you questionnaires on them?
This whole pack you gave us the other day, just this Randy's deal.
Randy Hudson?
Yep.
Huh.
If I understand it right.
This should have been 2 pages.
Here's company paid for.
These are,
Time Clock Plus is 2
I
pages.
have 2 of them, but those are questions that we wanted to
They're all
ask.
three, they're
We
three.
wanted to ask them,
Time
right?
Clock Plus.
You got them all there?
Yeah, they're all.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all three here.
And the only
They didn't
one,
have a cost on 2 of them.
yeah, so that's why I gave you that sheet.
Yeah.
The only one that, well, I've already had references on Time Clock Plus, and it's been both favorable and unfavorable from counties that have had them and then gotten something else. I have 2 references from exact time I'm supposed to call on Friday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. One's a municipality, the other is a construction company. And then Paycor is supposed to be getting back with some references for me, so.
So Time Clock Plus, not to interrupt you, the people, the pros and cons, what did they go do? What did they go to?
Well,
Or did they say?
they didn't really say. They switched to, some other,
Which one is compatible with ours?
well, they're all compatible, but Time Clock Plus is a separate company, but they're somehow connected with CIC, so they've already kind of partnered with them.
They can integrate.
But they can do others as well. It's basically importing a file.
Alright, so Paycor and Time Clock Plus are all CIC.
No, just
No.
Time Clock Plus.
Just
is
Time
CIC.
Clock.
Yeah.
They're in the middle, so
Yeah.
might be the way to go.
You know, the lowest price one right now is what do you call that, exact time?
Exact
How you call it?
Yeah.
But there are the ones that don't have they don't have, sick leave or vacation built into their system yet.
Right.
Is that dollar amount gonna go up when they do that?
I don't think so, not at this point in time, because the amount he gave us is what we would be buying it for, so, and that'd be good for a year.
But we don't have no guarantee of the sale.
Yeah, the next year it could go up.
We don't have no guarantee that they'll even get the vacation and sick leave in place. So Terry will be working almost for two different
Yeah, and that's
situations.
what we don't wanna have to do
No.
too much of.
That's what we don't,
Yeah.
and right now with them,
That's the one in the middle.
even though they're the lowest cost, they're not, they can't dump everything into it at this time. I think they did say 4 to 6 months.
But I figure we need to start getting a decision made,
Well, we need-
we're
yeah.
3 months out, so.
On these, regardless what we go to, you know, like if somebody punches in at 7:58 and the others punch in at 8:10, then you got differences in the noon hour and everything. Is it gonna average it out to the nearest 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or is it narrowed down to a minute?
You know, I'm
One
not
of them,
sure.
one of them
that
retroed back, something retroed back, was it not?
I think so.
I thought it was Time Clocks Plus.
I think they went 7 minutes or something,
There was one that
and it went, would go back, if it's past it, and went to the other, so then they'd be a quarter hour late. I thought there was something said about that.
I think you can set up
See,
parameters.
right now, everybody's handwriting in
Yeah.
8 to 12 and 1 to 5, or whatever it may be. You're gonna have a lot more documents that's really gonna be detailed out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that employee the time clock may show 8 hours and 6 minutes, 8 hours and 10. And at the end of the month, that employee may end up with an extra hour's time, or maybe short. Are we gonna, at the end of the month, do we pay for that extra hour or two a week that they clocked in or out? And if we don't, how's wage and hour gonna look at that? Cause that's totally a document, and wage and hour, don't mean to be negative, wage and hours can be tough to deal
Yeah.
with. To
Yeah.
me, you may be creating some time and a half, and not done intentionally by the employee. But we don't want them look at the clock every minute to make sure they do it.
On the dot.
Don't want them to be a clock watcher. I'm just curious what wage, and I brought this up here, you know, a month ago when we talked about, how's wage and hour look at the total accuracy of this?
I can call them and find out.
I'm not too sure, we don't need a little more clarification on,
I know your supervisors can adjust it.
Yeah, they can adjust it.
they've got the flexibility to adjust
Yeah,
it.
you can put that in there.
At least,
I don't want all the employees to be a clock watcher.
in my eyes, you're gonna have accountability of your time. Your department heads are gonna have to watch to see Billy, Susie, George, Frank, Bob coming in and leaving at the right times. You know, it's gonna put a little more work onto the department heads
I think we definitely need this.
to assure that there's not gonna be overtime or to run it the way it needs to be ran.
I don't think you have to worry about very many people being here late. They might be late coming in, but they're not gonna be late leaving.
Yeah.
From what I've ever seen.
But it ain't good, I'll believe it first. I'd like to have a little more clarification on that wage and hour.
Okay.
Andrew, you got anything else on roundtable?
For the fence viewing, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, we gotta do something about that right here.
two are gonna be purchased for the 750 Juneberry.
7,
That's in my district, so I don't wanna do it.
you don't wanna do it?
Now, we usually try to avoid whoever district is in, the commissioner do it, because they're the ones that get all the crap.
Yeah, but you're gonna be leaving. So
I don't care, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't, I've been on them before, it doesn't matter to me, this is the way it is.
When's the date?
October 7th at 2, and that is good with Wade.
I won't be here anyway, I'll be in a meeting in Topeka.
If I need to, I can do it, just because I've got vacation and
7th of
everything.
June, but that's over in, Dawn, that's in your, I mean, that's
That's in mine.
in your,
It's in Bob's area.
well, I know, but it's in your neighborhood.
It's a long ways from Dawn.
It's a long ways from Dawn.
There's nobody, it's about in the middle of my district down in that area.
I can be a part of it. I don't know whether it'd be an issue or not I've known Jim and Ann all the way back to 1965, done, a huge amount of business with Jim and Ann. You know, whether that would be an issue in this deal, I don't know. To me, it's not.
It shouldn't be an issue because there's guidelines to go by.
To me, it's not. To me, it's not.
You go through the rules and this
And I
is
don't wanna
it.
have any red flags.
Either you guys figure it out or we're gonna set these rules and that's the way it's gonna be.
I'll be more than glad to
Pretty simple.
take.
Would it be closer for Tom to go down versus you or Tim?
I can go, I've got some family in from Phoenix that day, but I'll break out.
You might want to break for a little while.
Yeah.
See, it's 6, 7, 8, 9 miles west of me.
Well, that's gonna be
Fine, no
20-some
problem.
miles for Tim to go to it.
It'll be a lot for Tim.
Tom and Dawn? Okay.
Anyway,
Cause it's on Junebird, that's where, I don't know exactly what fence they're talking about, but that's where Jim and Ann live. Is there
And
on
I've got
Junebird.
all the legal property descriptions of both I can get to you, if you wanna see.
Yeah.
And you might hand them, print them a copy of the fence rules,
Yeah.
so they'll have that with them.
Okay.
Wade gave me a good outline of them.
And Wade built a stick to measure the wires and stuff.
Correct, and that's what
So it'll
you're,
be Tom and Dawn.
Tom and Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah, just give that to me Monday.
Who's the card for?
I have no idea.
Connie.
There's no name on
Oh,
it.
Connie Lawrence.
Connie's husband passed away.
So,
Yeah.
Connie.
so did we say memorial somewhere?
Yeah, you signed it today.
What?
The check.
So what's the,
It's a card, sympathy card.
what's the cash there?
People put it in there.
Okay. But we did send a memorial for,
Yes.
I was thinking we did.
There's no service,
I wasn't even
so
aware that he
That's
passed
Connie.
away.
it just happened Sunday.
Her husband passed.
Too bad.
Oh, and my other, the surge protectors from EMP Shields, I contacted somebody from there, so it'll be next week. They got a hold of Creighton, because Creighton will actually be doing the installation, so that should be next week.
Get that all done.
I think that was minor.
With the
We
Jesse
discussed
threw it
the
over.
air conditioner, and the church will start coming down tomorrow.
Church coming down tomorrow, huh?
Yep.
Be a lot of people over there looking, taking photos probably.
I did ask if they would give you a call to let me know exactly when, so whether they do or not.
Put it on the county Facebook page or something.
Yeah.
Church is fixing to be demolished.
Those two big excavators, it won't take long.
Right.
Well, if they do it, if they do it like they need to when they're pulling it apart, they're not gonna be able just to go in there and smash and bash it, because then they're gonna have to separate everything. It'll be easier kind of separate as you're going into it.
I would think, but probably kinda hard. Won't know till you
The biggest
take the
thing
first hit.
will be the north wall. They'll have to pull it in, pull it or push it in because the utilities and stuff on the
On the
other side.
side, yeah. Well, if nobody's got anything else, we will adjourn at 12:43.
34.
1234. Dyslexic.
12:43.
I'm figuring out, I think that's gonna be